and your boy riding the Southern Band. Charges on the beat.
Told the spoon to get your information. Told the spoon to be part of our discussion. Spoon, spoon, spoon television. Spoon, spoon, spoon radio station.
Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Liberia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Monrovia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Africa. Just to spoon, you will know. There's the children crying for starvation, just to spoon. You want to get a news update, my brother, to spoon. You want to know what is happening, Moreover, to spoon. Politicians want to make their decision, just to spoon. You want to know what's happening in the ministry, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. You from Vonjema, Maryland, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. If you eat kepan, gradually, my brother, to spoon. You got a spoon TV, you got a spoon radio, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. You wanna get a news update, to spoon. What? Yeah, Rastafari. Kilibamba, kilibamba, kilibamba. Kilibamba, kilibamba, kilibamba. What I want? Yes, what you got today?
Spoon TV.
Yes, what you got today?
Spoon TV. Spoon
Bada. Skidibidi dabado.
Spoon TV. Spoon entertainment.
Kuwa. Bese kuwa, kujileo. Kuwa, kujileo.
Told the spoon to get
Yes,
your
what you want.
information. Told the spoon to be
Yes, what
part
you
of our
want.
discussion. Spoon television.
Yes, what you want.
Spoon.
Yes, I, a special one from the CEO, Stan Tunnel with the spoon, and your boy riding the Southern Band. Charges on the beat.
Told the spoon to get your information. Told the spoon to be part of our discussion. Spoon television. Spoon radio station.
Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Liberia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Monrovia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Africa. Just to spoon, you will know. There's the children crying for starvation, just to spoon. You want to get a news update, my brother, to spoon. You want to know what is happening, Moreover, to spoon. Politicians want to make their decision, just to spoon. You want to know what's happening in the ministry, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. You from Vonjema, Maryland, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. If you eat kepan, gradually, my brother, to spoon. Kilibamba, 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 kilibamba. What I want? Yes, what you about today?
Spoon TV. Spoon
Yes, what you about today?
Spoon Spoon TV. Spoon
Bada 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 bada.
Spoon
Skiddy biddy biddy da bado.
Spoon TV. Spoon Entertainment.
Kua 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 kua. Bese kua 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 kudileo. Kua kua kudileo.
Total Spoon to get
Yes, what you
your
want?
information.
Kua.
Total Spoon to be
Yes, I, a special one from the CEOs, Dan Turner with the spoon. And your boy, Friday the Southern Band. Charges on the beat.
Total Spoon to get your information. Total Spoon to be part of our discussion. Spoon, Spoon, Spoon Television. Spoon, Spoon, Spoon Radio Station.
Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Liberia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Morovia.
Monrovia,
Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Africa.
Africa.
Just to spoon, to spoon you and know. If the children crying for starvation, just to spoon. You want to get a news update, my brother, to spoon. You want to know what is happening in Moravia, to spoon. Politicians want to make their decision, just to spoon. You want to know what happening in the ministry, to spoon. Yeah, yeah, to spoon. Yeah, yeah, to spoon.
Okay, so indeed, Tonto Spoon, of course, you in Maryland, you in Grand Bassa, you in Nimba, you in Sino County. If you're in Raver County, maybe you're in Bombing, you're in Cape Mount, across the 15 counties of Liberia. We want to say welcome to another fascinating edition of the program Spoon Talk tonight. If you're somewhere across the world, Europe, Australia, the US, just wherever you are, we want to say welcome to the program. This is Liberia's most listened to program, informative program on radio and online. And of course, here you get authentic information. We don't fabricate. That's why we bring you face to face with the new newsmakers, and they get to break the news right here on Spoon Talk. I'd like to say welcome to the program tonight. My name is Nelson Colette, and we are live on Spoon TV on Facebook, Fabric TV on Facebook, Super TV on Facebook, and on YouTube, we're live at Spoon Talk Live. I'd like to say welcome to the program tonight. Share the show and encourage someone to follow along, as you just can't afford to miss this edition of the program. Let me cross over now to bring in Dr. Richardson. Let me say good evening to you, Dr. Richardson.
Nelson, hello, how you doing?
Yes, I'm doing well. I'm okay, and I'm glad to be here again, and it's good to see you, Dr. Richardson.
Yeah, we are for another day. I just want to tell you that I appreciate your commitment to Spoon Talk, coming here every day and leaving here at 7 o'clock and coming back so we can impart information to Liberians. Is like really, really appreciated. So how was your day? It's 8 o'clock over there, right?
Yes, it's 8 o'clock. We have exact 11 minutes past 8 o'clock here.
Okay.
And yeah. So my day has been going good. Yes, went out of bed, came back, and I tried to do a little bit of setup right after the setup, and then I realized it was 8 o'clock. Yeah.
The time got caught with you, right? That's just how I feel.
Yeah, definitely.
was trying to
Definitely.
I was trying to make some dry rice for my husband for him to have while I'm on the show for him to eat. And all
Hmm.
of a sudden, it just seemed like the time just got caught up with me, and then I had to like rush and come here, because he comes home. I'm actually on the show, so I don't get to see him or be out there. So, but I got it done. I ate
Wow.
some small fish and dry rice and palm oil. That's what I felt like eating
Okay.
today.
That real Liberian dry rice.
Yeah, so the
Y'all
real
y'all
the
get y'all
okra.
get moi over there.
No, I let that all I wanted. I just let it small fish. I love small fish for some reason. I just love it. I always have to have small fish in my house and some okra, some kitili, and all of that goes together. So that's what we're doing today here on this end. So, but anyway, it's good to. I know Daniel's here with us today. It's good to
Yeah.
see both of you. So, you want to tell us some of the trending issues in the country, Nelson? I want to welcome you too, Daniel.
Yes. Lots of training issues in the country. Uh, though I was up and down on some other issues today, but I followed some of the happenings. Just a few I like to mention here. Um, so to begin with, um, today I followed a very interesting video. You remember yesterday we spoke briefly on that update from Grand Bassa County where a man believed to be 27 years old
Mm-hmm.
uh, wounded his two kids. There was an interview conducted with the individual today. That was yesterday, yeah. But I came across that today,
Mm-hmm.
and also with the kids, it was a very emotional one, and the family. So the first clarity I like to make is that the individual up to present he's not in police custody. He's not in police custody. Talking about the individual uh, who chopped his two children yesterday. He's not in police custody. According to what we've gathered, um, his action is being attributed to some sort of mental illness or whatever, because the family now is saying that prior to he carrying on the action, talking about wounding the two children and so forth, he has been behaving strangely of recent. He's been talking by himself, and at a point, they tried to put him on chains. They tried to bound him so that he wouldn't speak. So at a point,
I'm
so at a
sorry.
point, they tried. Okay, yeah. So at a point, they tried to put him on chains so that he would not be, all around the place. And so now his entire action is being attributed to some sort of mental issue. Now the family talking to the hospital, uh, we're getting information that he received up to 20, 12 stitches or so,
Wow.
and he, from what I saw today on that interview, he's seriously wounded. He's been badly wounded, and he was giving his own side of the story. According to him, the kids, someone took the face of his kids, they changed to monsters, and they attacked him spiritually. They beat him up, and you could see the bruises on him. So that the registry as it stands is a kind of critical thing. Is difficult to analyze it considering the spiritual nature of the case, and also the physical aspect where the kids are badly wounded and all of that. Is a kind of difficult thing. But yeah, he's undergoing some treatment, and he's not in police custody. That's the
Yeah,
first.
so in such a situation, obviously, I'm not a lawyer, but over here, most people like that would plead some kind of insanity plead, and that will allow them to continue treatment or to get treatment. But the issue is, I mean, I can't say that he is psychotic or not, but it sounds like he's going through some kind of delusional or some kind of thought
Mhm.
disorder. However, I would like to know if he had had this symptom before. Had he ever experienced something like this before, or is this the first time? It's very unusual for people who are experiencing psychosis to start at 28. Usually, men start their psychotic symptoms around 24. For women, it's a little bit early, 18. But there's something in our DSM, the book that we use to diagnose people, that are called brief psychotic symptoms. So you can be psychotic for 4 days. So that's the person I like to do. Just find out from family or from him. Has he ever had this kind of experience where he sees people in his sleep fighting him? Then the next thing I like to know, I want to know the spirituality practices of the family. If he's the only one who got this power, then it's boy or family or cultural patterns. Then I can definitely prepare a decision. So if there's other people in the family who practice the spirituality this way, they see people and all of that stuff, I might say, okay, this is family issue, that this is how the family was raised or whatever. But if he's the only one in the family
Yeah.
experiencing this, and no other Liberians tend to experience this, that's not a cultural thing, that's not a family pattern, it's an isolated incident.
According to him,
Mhm.
his grandmother passed away. His grandmother passed recently. In fact, about a year or two ago. So this grandmother appeared to him and told him of a blessing she has somewhere from him. That is before this entire thing started to happen to him recently. So the grandmother appeared to him and told him about a blessing she has for him somewhere. Now he went to get the blessings, and since then he sees the grandmother, and the grandmother sees him. She communicates some information to
Okay.
him spiritually. Other people do not see the grandmother, but he sees her, and
Yeah.
so yeah, that's how the whole thing
Definitely.
started.
Now you
And
clarify. Yeah, auditory and visual hallucination. That's one of the things I would look for people who are experiencing some kind of thought disorder. So, be it schizophrenia or just a brief psychotic disorder or some kind of schizoform or something like that. So, but again, we just kind of discussing the case until I actually sit down and talk to him and assess him.
Yeah.
And so if he was here, what it would do is obviously he would get an antipsychotic drug. They'll give him a quick injection or something, and keep him in an inpatient hospital for a while until he starts
Yeah.
to clear out for him.
And one quick one that the reason just before I move to other developments, the brother of the individual was asked as to whether this guy has been on drug before, whether he has taken in the kush or any of the narcotic substances before. And all of the family members who spoke said that he has never been on drug before. He himself, he was asked, he said he has never been on drug before. He has never taken drugs. He doesn't take in drug. He doesn't smoke. Sometimes he tries with alcohol, but he doesn't take in drugs. Yeah, that's what he said to the media. But the kids are badly wounded. So even the brother who was interviewed also said he has spent all of his money. So they were seeking some sort of assistance to get him treated along with the kids. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I'm glad you asked about that alcohol piece. So we'll have to establish that he drank alcohol before he went to bed that day, because alcohol withdrawal can be very brutal. So how much did he consume, and was that influencing his pattern of hallucination or delusion? So that's a good piece to know. But how recent did he drink alcohol would be interesting. But anyway, that's it.
Yeah.
It's kind of good because I'm sure there's other people in our country that have these experiences.
Yeah. So now the next issue I'd like to move to is with Ambassador Jeremiah Slonte. Recently, there was a publication on Facebook on an account believed to be, or let's say bearing his name, where it was posted on that page that with recent sexual scandal upon the president, particularly leaked recordings, he was resigning from the campaign team of the CDC and distancing himself from the president's re-election efforts. Well, today, Ambassador Jeremiah Slonte addressed it. He made some clarifications that at no time did he make any post of such, that what is being circulated on the social media is not him, is a make-up, and those who are doing this should stop. He didn't make any post of such. Yes, so he refuted that report that is circulating on the social media.
So is he still the
Deputy
campaign
Minister
chair?
for,
Is he still the campaign chair for Bon County? The CDC campaign chair for Bon County, I believe.
yeah, he's on the
Okay.
campaign team.
Mhm.
Yeah, so he maintained that he remains a full-fledged member of the of everything that's going on to have President George Weah re-elected. He did not make the post.
Okay.
Yes. So, mhm. Yeah, Dr. Richardson?
Yes, I'm here. Can you see me?
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
see
sure,
you.
sure.
I can
see
see
you.
both of you guys. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so moving on to other developments. Today, Deputy Minister Bwaka Fofana, a Deputy Minister at the Ministry of Information, he's the Deputy Minister for Information Services. He had an exclusive interview today with a local media where he said, contrary to reports that the CDC government is multiplying poverty and the country is going backward under the CDC has done tremendously well, raising the country's national budget from around 500 million, where the previous administration left it, to almost, according to him, almost $1 billion. And the CDC over the past 5 years, according to him, have been able to raise thousands of people from poverty. And so he was reacting to some comments from his opponents from the opposition community that Liberia is going back. According to him, no. The numbers with respect to the rating of the country on the poverty, or with respect to poverty and everything, all of those issues that the oppositions are pointing to are the issues that the CDC met and they've been working to fix, and the CDC is still fixing it. So, yes, so they are fixing it, and there is nothing such as the country going backward. Liberia is on path, and Liberia is progressing. So, I would just like to end up with this.
When you're done, Daniel, respond to that because you know he knows he's there and you there too. But
He said about 25,000 persons have been lifted from poverty. You know, they've been resurrected from poverty. So the CDC is doing well. Development is on course. So now, finally, the District 17 representative, Montserrat County District 17 representative Hassan Kezulu, also had a special interview today with the media, where he said that he supports a violence-free election, and as much as the Farmington River Declaration and all of those instruments are there that political parties have affixed their signature to, the National Elections Commission should avoid any level of compromise. Anything that will have them to compromise the result of the election, they should avoid it, because if they do not avoid it, they will be undermining the very Farmington River Declaration that those political parties affix their signatures to. So he said, though we have Farmington River Declaration, but NEC should equally hold on to the aspect that has to do with holding a free, fair, and transparent election. Contrary to that, the Farmington River Declaration might not just be a reality. Yes, so those are just a few, and maybe I will stop there, Dr. Richardson.
all right, thank you, Nelson. Again, really appreciate you getting the news and summarizing it, and imparting it to the Liberian people. Daniel, is there anything you heard that sort of intrigued you that you'd like to speak to? Because somebody
Yes,
said, why you're not talking about a guy who having a mental health or spiritual attack? They say I should include you in the conversation.
well,
I didn't talk about him.
No, they say while Daniel was not talking, they say I was including Daniel in the conversation.
Yeah,
Oh,
but I
okay,
cannot.
okay.
I, I'm not clothed the authority to speak on supernatural. The man say his mother appeared to him in a dream and showed him somewhere. I was not there. How do I explain supernatural occurrences?
Ah, thank
You know,
you. Then
that's why.
they say I need to believe the man. It's a spiritual thing. I'm biased. You're not having no hallucination.
But psychiatry will have to apply explanation to these things, and that's why you try to do. I'm not a psychiatrist, so
Psychologist,
so
yes,
I would rather
yes.
sit and listen. You know, the, the,
Yeah.
the, the tendency in Liberia that everybody knows about everything is bad. Sometimes when you are not okrum with a particular topic, it's better you sit and listen and learn. So I have nothing much to say about the fellow who said that his mother appeared to him in a dream and showed him somewhere that the guy works and everything. You know, it has to be demonic because I do believe that there is no connection between the living and the dead. So whatever thing he say, it cannot be verified. So, but it's just unfortunate that the kids are now victim of the circumstance
Yes.
between he and the between the living man and the dead people
Yes.
is bad. But again, maybe he needs to seek the intervention of God. You know, some of these pastors are real authentic pastors. So when you go to them with the kind of problem, they have a way of praying to cast away demons. I would advise that he seeks the intervention of God. But I heard Colette saying that the deputy minister for administration and the ministry of information. What did he say today? That the Nelson.
This, yeah, the CDC government has
Mm,
lifted over 25,000 people out of poverty, and so CDC is fixing the country. The problems that the oppositions are pointing to are the problems that the CDC met that the CDC is currently fixing, and so development is on course.
but you see, that's the thing about my friend Waika Fofana, and it is very sad that people who supposed to be uh, understanding and taking the side of the people in society will suddenly become praise singer and bear weaponist only because they have been given political preference for employment. Prior to Boyka Fofana getting this job, he used to be on Capital FM, and I really used to admire Boyka Fofana. You know, in 2017, we had very great interaction on Capital FM, and even before he was appointed at our radio station, I mean at the ministry, he used to be very framed on some of the issue of societal ills. He used to push us high. When I say us, I mean opposition politician who went to a radio station. He would push us high on the policy issues. And Baka Fofana himself bear testament to some of the tremendous gains of the Unity Party. At some point, he came across as somebody who was pro-regime because of a line of questioning. Today, for the same Baka Fofana to be saying that the Unity Party government created a mess that the CDC is cleaning, sometimes this is where the journalists have to go beyond just listening to this man, listen to the politician. You need to ask him, what are some of the mess that the UP government created that the CDC is fixing? The civil service that was built from scratch, from nothing, to a professional arm of government that the CDC came and destroyed. The system, the anti-graft, the system of fighting corruption, the system of transparency and accountability, the PPCC, the LACC, all those systems that the UP government put into place, the declaration of assets before taking job, the code of conduct to guide the conduct of public officials that Baka Fofana, that the UP government set in motion, that the CDC government had dissipated today, are those the spoil he's talking about? Between the UP government and the CDC government. Now, people know that I didn't support the UP government. have been an unapologetic member of the Liberty Party. And as a matter of fact, Liberty Party was very vocal against the Unity Party 12 years administration of this country. People know that. But politics aside, even if I want to sell my candidate, I have to be truthful in certain the candidate. Even if my candidate is a devil, let me be truthful in certain my candidate. But to come up and be spraying out lies that the UP government created mess, and, when you look at Liberia, where UP took Liberia from, and you juxtapose where Georgia took Liberia from, you're great at UP government. Even 80% that Georgia did in 2017, he great at UP government 80%. The man who appointed Baga Fofana great at UP government 80%. Now, this man who is not even benefiting the loot of the government, he's just benefiting from the crumbs. Because I know the ministry that Baga Fofana works for, the ministry is some of the least paid ministry in the government. If you are to carry a ballot box, that Richardson, if you are to carry a ballot box at the Ministry of Information, the government will be defeated face down. And Baga Fofana knows that. You're talking about lifted people out of poverty. The Ministry of Information, some of the civil servants there making $40, as low as $40.
Wow.
And Baga Fofana has failed to even advocate. Yes. The other day they were in black. They were protesting at the Ministry of Information of all places. This is the same ministry where the minister had gone on protest. And he said, Father, I can cook cabbage. And that was in reference, the parent reference to the low budgetary allocation and support they were getting, the ministry were getting from the central government. You see that? So before the man comes up to make somebody wishy-washy argument and trying to throw dirt on the impeccable record of the Unity Party, he needs to check in his closet. Because if today was election day and you carry a ballot box to the Ministry of Information, George Weah will be defeated. Because the legs of Baga Fofana, people complain about him that he's very mean. Very mean. He doesn't even relate to the workers at the ministry. People who are blowing the trumpet for George Weah's second term. They are ashamed that they're doing so because they know that there's no future, there's no hope for them. What will Baga Fofana do after George Weah leave power? Go back on a radio station? Who will believe him? Who will listen to him? So they are desperately fighting.
Yes. Okay, and then wrap it up. Thank you. I knew you had a response to that. So let's begin to welcome our viewers to the show. You want to start, Daniel? You can take about 5 or 10. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So let me start by welcoming Musa Keita. Musa Keita is a partisan of the Liberty Party. He said, "What then were you campaigning against him in the last election?" Vali Tarawale, JMB, Stanley Sano, watching from Brewerville, Washington Dawson. She said number 2, JMB, Henry Nicholas Lila, JMB, Anointed Aaron Gorfield Fali, Roland Tukpa, following live from Sanicola City, Nima County, his Puntok family, Abbas Malamu, Clarence Benson, Sochu Daniel, Darlington Mana, Therese Vambo, Moses Momolu, Norma Dennis, Stephen Tukpa, Muya Sharif, Mustafa Sanon, Rich Gross, Juma Giflossy Scotland, Basi Morris, Vera Horace, David F. Livingstone, Lemante Morris Johnson, Hawa Boya, Patrick Gray, Rexon D. Nimne Sr., Henry K. Giflo, Masaji, Yusuf S. Sharif, Christopher Paye Dor, Edizana Gabier, Samuel Roberts, Jeremy, Doris Benji, Morbag Basana Lid, Aloysius Greaves, P.P. Uriah Focus Smith Jr., Armstrong Fala, Emmanuel Slayer Lamine, and Herens Nicola Lila, and Roland Bank, watching from Atlanta, Georgia, GMB, he said.
So if you're listening to Spoon Talk, you're just hearing the voice of Daniel Sano telling you hi and welcome, and he hopes that you enjoy the show along with us. I'm just gonna call a few viewers' name just to welcome you and tell you hi too. Gloria Tucker is here. Oh my goodness, this stuff is going too fast. Okay, just bear with me, okay? I'm gonna do the best. Gloria Tucker is watching from Painesville City, Super Town. Austin Tupa is also watching. J. Friendly V. Vama is here. Henry K. Gifler is also here. Franklin McCarthy is watching from the United Arab Emirates. Welcome. Spoon Talk is all the way in the United Arab Emirates. Estella Nimpson is watching from Congo Town. Otto Siantiantu, just please forgive me with the last name, okay, Otto? But you're here and we're glad to have you here. Olufor's Bati is here. Lester Sarsor is also here. Tyrese Vanboy says, yeah, bro, thanks. DM Kabor is watching us. Matthew Poitier is also watching us. Rich Kamara is here. Christine King Johnson is also here. Jerry Jeremy is here. Jonathan Reeves is also watching us. George Howard, Joseph Yuma, Morris Johnson, Charles is watching us. Victoria Johnson is here. I hope I'm not repeating the same names. I'm trying not to. John Blackie is here from Cinco. Opa Chris is here. Munya Sharif is also here. George C. Cole is watching from Michigan. Ben Kamara is also watching. Henry Nicholas Lila is watching from Germany. Oh, you got UAE, you got Germany. Oh, nice. I'm vicariously traveling, so when I see other countries, I imagine what it looks like right now being there. Mamadi Sirleaf is watching from Morovia. Armstrong Wabinda from Kakata City. Solomon Singh Sarkar is from Ohio. Maureen Gika is here. And so we are just going to end our welcome section. And so I just want to welcome all of you. At Spoon, we love providing information to you. We love Liberia. We love Liberians. And so, participate, write your comments. It doesn't matter what you want to say. We don't take it personally. We go and come back the next day and start a very brand new day. I see that Daniel, besides talking about what happened today with Mr. Fofana, what else is on your mind? Is there anything else on your mind that you talk?
Except that I heard that the NEC is recruiting competent election workers, and the publication was made on the official website of the National Elections Commission. And to that effect, I was saying that I hope the commission can be very uncompromising about the political neutrality of those that will be hired for the jobs that were advertised. Because we witnessed during the voter registration exercise what happened in district number 10. And I'm sure that what happened in district number 10 was replicated in other parts of the country. That's why that's why you later discovered that teenagers were even allowed to vote in certain parts of the country, particularly the southeastern region. So what is now happening in Africa right in neighboring Sierra Leone. I'm making this call to the Election Commission because the people at the commission are not just commissioners of the NEC. They are Liberian first before they are members of the Board of Commissioners. And that being said, they have to be mindful. They have to be very meticulous as to how they handle the electoral process. Our history is very clear that one of the reasons why we fought and killed each other in this country was because Mr. Samuel Doe decided to rig the election by thwarting the popular will of the Liberian people. When that happened in 1985, the next thing was an invasion led by Kurumpa, which was aborted, and then that was followed by the rebellion in 1989. So elections tampering has not been very good for Liberia. When you look at neighboring Sierra Leone is at the brink of a full-blown crisis. Military officials, politicians are now being arrested in Sierra Leone for plotting what is being termed as subversionary tactics against the constituted government. We do believe these are all action meant to intimidate the civilian population because of what has happened in Sierra Leone to the electoral process. That election was rigged. Up to now, the commission of the election commission in Sierra Leone cannot disaggregate the numbers. It is a matter of concern to the international partners. So if Sierra Leone is at the brink of crisis because of electoral malpractices, Liberia has to learn. We have to learn because regardless of our political issues that we have with our government, regardless of our quest to having replaced by a more competent and able leadership, we do not want this country to relapse into chaos. The way I see the NEC conducting itself, it is not conducting itself in a way to merit public trust. The NEC continue to dilly-dally about issues. The other day, they call candidates and they talk about violation of electoral laws, and they could not plainly point out that the CDC, the ruling party, they could not point out that the CDC has been in violation. When you come to Monrovia, all on the street from Painesville to St. John Monrovia, all of the lead poles carry the placards, the portraits of George Weah. That is an open violation of the electoral law. The NEC has yet to call the CDC to book. And this is how the credibility of the process can be undermined. Because if the NEC does not see everybody as equal players, to be guided by the law equally, if you see one person as being the ruling party and the other person is opposition, then you are creating the fertile ground for disturbances, for chaos. We do not want that. So as they go about recruiting their workers, they have to be very uncompromising about political neutrality of those that will be hired. Because on the other hand, the political parties are not taking the election lightly. We have called on our supporters and continue to call on them that even after voting day, they should stay at the polling places to get their results. It's going to happen. It happened in Grand Bassa. It happened in most other counties. And we show with the level of enthusiasm amongst the Liberian voter to get Mr. Weah out of the presidency because he's grossly incompetent. He's incapable of handling the country's problem. I'm sure Liberians can do it. And with that willingness, if there's any attempt by anybody who is on the employ of the NEC to thwart the popular will of the people, that attempt will be met by stiff resistance and chaos could likely ensue. And that's why we are signing the caveat at the very early stage. We are raising the red flag. The NEC has to be mindful. They are hiring the people. They have to be very, 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 very clear.
So Daniel, you are raising such an excellent point. You justify why you are alarmed because NEC is hiring workers, for the elections. But I have a question for you, and I don't know if you have the answer to it, but how do you think that NEC can present political neutrality with the workers? How can you hire people who are neutral? What measures do they need to
People,
take?
people have their Facebook pages and
Okay.
profiles.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to hire a presiding officer, for example,
Mm-hmm.
the presiding officer has tremendous power and authority in keeping with the electoral law of Liberia. It is a
Mm-hmm.
presiding officer who can look at anybody and say he doesn't like the way you appear, he doesn't like what you say to him. He can put you out of the polling place, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if the NEC wants to hire presiding officer, they have to go beyond just accepting application. It has
Okay,
to
I
go
get
beyond
that.
that.
So that's good. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So go beyond just accepting Daniel Sano application for presiding officer. Go
Mm-hmm.
beyond his scoring high mark in the test. You have to do some investigation to know this man's history, what he had in a
Yes.
previous political history. For me, it would be good because if the man go there, he's smart, and he scored high mark in the test. You hire him, and in the end, he
Mm-hmm.
takes the job and uses that position to perpetrate his political objective.
Absolutely.
It will not affect him as a person. It will affect the credibility of the commission. That's
Yes.
why they have to be concerned.
So you're saying like background checks, investigation, social media pages, maybe references, calling previous employers before, and
Yeah,
documentation that they
yeah.
did everything. So just in case that anyone accuse them, they can have
And also make sure that people who are being hired are not politically active. People who are being hired should not be politically active, like the lady in District Number 10. In the chat room
Yes,
with Mama Model telling them to send the teenagers who were sent her,
I
they will
remember
register
that.
them.
Mhm.
That was wrong.
Yes, it was wrong. Yeah. Well, they have a tall order. So, but I think they can do it if they really put their mind to it. And I think, Liberians should just be vigilant. This is about our country. This is how we show love to the country. That if you know that you are, strongly tied to a political party, then you shouldn't be working as a, net worker. Just let that job slide and go. But if you are strongly neutral and feel like you're not going to be biased by anybody or bought by anybody, then that's the position that you should be in. It's all because you love the country. But I do agree with you in terms of keeping the political neutrality. Let them do all the background work. I actually, I will go one step further to Daniel. I think I also want members of the political parties, but I know you got 40 of them, so I don't think all 40. But I need an objective person, somebody outside of NEC to sit in the interview process. And I will also, I don't know, I guess I don't know. I also want to determine some other factors about, the worker. I really want to know personality. I want to
I
give them.
didn't get your question.
No, I said I would want to go a little extra by having an objective party as part of the interview process. I won't leave the interviewing only to NEC. So I want to bring somebody else who's objective. I would like to bring in somebody from a political party, but then there was be too many. There are 40, I think 40 political parties, but just an objective person to just be there other than the NEC worker to say, okay, I oppose to you hiring this person because we haven't done enough background check. Because NEC is a body and they can have their own bias as well. But if you have an objective party, there can be some kind of talking and coming to some kind of reasonable conclusion about who to hire. Somebody to have to bounce things off. So that's what I'm thinking. And of course, I'm just would throw in some other personality testing. I want to know that.
The line
Go ahead.
was cracking. I didn't get your question.
Oh wow. But that's okay, Tanya. I was just saying I was talking, but that's all right. It's okay. I was just basically talking that I would like to have I would have added recommend to add another objective party for the interview process. Are you hearing me now? Oh, okay. It's all right. It's okay. It must be raining where you guys are. Or okay. I want to welcome you, Stanton, to the program as well. You have anything on your mind you'd like to talk about? We're just kind of going over what's on our mind. No? Okay. Well, and I'm just
But what you want me to talk about? I said no, nothing on my mind. Then he said no.
oh no, because you always coming with something in your mind. That's why this will be a new one.
Yeah, I'll be quiet today. Daniel Sano is on. That's good. The Liberty Party spokesman. Musa Benete say he fired you and you stay carrying the title, Daniel. They may fire you already. How many times will Musa fire you for you not to carry this
Musa
title?
in prison worship now.
They may tell the prophet.
What are you?
Prophet
They may
Benedict.
tell the prophet. Politics are bad thing. They may tell the Facebook podcast. He got his own show. Now he prophet. He got his own church. The man built his own bridge. The man gonna win district number 7. The
That's
man do
not-
a lot of different stuff. That
That
Richardson,
is not-
nobody talking to you. That Richardson, leave her alone, please.
I'm
Let's
not
talk about
doing-
Musa small.
I'm talking about Musa.
Daniel,
So we get to,
what?
yeah.
Daniel, what he mentioned the prophet?
Can I talk about Musa like that?
DOS, what Musa turned to prophet?
When people say our politics is so gullible, no principle, that's on there.
Hey, Nelson, can you play that Musa? Can you find that Musa clip? Let's play it small. When the man was dancing.
Let me welcome.
But he asked me for on my mind. Can I talk? I beg you.
I'm
Or
welcoming
we gotta talk
Mr.
about Musa. You want to call me up?
I'm actually welcoming Mr. Fakon.
You see,
People
Daniel,
are
we gotta talk about Musa. We gotta talk about Musa. She called me up. But Daniel,
People are asking
Yeah.
for you, Mr. Fakon. It was
she,
just
nobody got time for Fagon, man.
but
Fagon said want us to talk about Musa. Leave Fagon small.
okay. Go ahead, talk about. Just be ready for me to talk to.
If any one of you guys have that clip that Musa was dancing, y'all please send it to us, please. We want to play it.
Nobody should say
Musa,
anything.
Musa, Daniel, you bad. Daniel, don't do this to me, man. I'll tell you, don't do this, you bad. Musa, not turn to a prophet. Prophetability. Fagon, you are muted, Fagon.
I say y'all share the phone as I'll go home because I don't know what the man say. I just yelling, Musa, Musa.
But go home, who cares? You've been here for almost 2 weeks, we worry. You can leave. You behind Joseph
Yeah, can you making flower people?
You see
Okay,
your number
enough of
claiming
that.
now. Y'all want to 200. Y'all going above 1,000.
Okay, that's your business. Now you worry about numbers. But Fagon, you've been up for a little while though. What's going on from your end?
I'm tired.
We're gonna be bringing Josh Soto in. Josh Soto are bad too. Former CDC chairman. The man coming. The man gonna be joining. Every one of you that know Chairman Solo, you'll be joining the show tonight. We're just going to talk about what's on our mind. Then we're going to bring Chairman Solo in. But amazingly though, Solo was in Liberia.
Why you talk about Musa and Dr. Francine gone?
I don't know. She left. I don't know. The person said we shouldn't talk about Musa. And I said nothing bad though. We said Musa the prophet. I know what making Dr. Francine mad.
So why are you all calling him prophet?
Have you not seen the most recent dance and something he was doing? Oh yeah,
No,
you've been behind.
I'm not
behind
seeing
Joseph
it. I think
Boakas. You've been behind Joseph Boakas, so you have not seen it.
it doesn't matter. Where
You've been making
I
peace
was,
wave. You've been making peace wave. Remy Gray, which is good, of course. That he come back again and say you're not his friend, or you say you are not his friend either.
no,
Or
till he comes back and talk Tabata.
I mean, when you're in the man area, you wasn't saying those things. They were going to get you.
What thing? I
No,
mean,
don't
if
can't
you have
say that.
seen
You
the
can't say
amount of
Tabata.
bodyguards that I had,
They gotta get people.
I'm telling you, even to leave, that's a place there called Oro or whatsoever. Go there and ask. armed bodyguards, 24/7.
But why? Let me ask you a question, though. Let me ask you a question. Why Remy Gray invited you for you to go eat meat pie? You said no. You were scared.
I looking at scared.
Gala sound of the man scared.
I looking at scared. You see me eat meat pie. I was looking for real food to eat. You bring out funny thing to me and go eat meat pie. I looking at meat pie.
The man said, if I'm gonna go eat meat pie, Fagon said no, you run away.
Yeah, because
Fagon, and you other thing there, what you other twin near A.
Yeah, and you know, if you say why you scared to talk, you are passing on the other post show, they don't tell me. You go cause on the people show. Crown people get parable. They say, if you say none of your people over there, where are people to inside?
That is there.
The man invented a new word, say girlfriendism.
Girlfriendism. And you know, when you allow the likes of Prophet Key to create Saletuli and everybody use it, we gotta create some intellectual language. Girlfriendism, run beyond the don't try it. We get plenty of is in there. You gotta continue that here.
Yeah, man. Donald Trump leaving the courthouse on his way to the airport. It's on CNN.
So what you want us to do?
I want you to
it's the value of real democracy. In 2023, you will see men and living code again in 2023. The Liberian people will lead code too. Will join the democracy movement. People then will lead code too. Will hanker on.
I remember I wish I was show you that you're going that far. Why didn't you introduce Fagon? Yeah.
Sorry, hello.
Then you ready to start shooting?
Sorry, hello.
Fagon, but what am I hearing though? Can you help us? Because before we Dr. Richardson, where are people? Where Gibson, where Prince Maxwell, where Mepe Gondo, all of them ran away?
Yeah, they ran away. I don't know why. We had a good show yesterday.
I got a picture. I don't know whether it is true. And I'm troubled with this picture, guys.
I love to see Dr. Francine eyes.
And I trouble with this picture. This is George Manan. George Manan, we are in Tewon Gonglo met. They met at NEC yesterday. And President Weah head onto the broom that Tewon and his VP were carrying, right? And President Weah said, my man, stop sweeping corruption. President Weah told him to stop sweeping corruption. And we'll put a picture up. And Tewon told him, he said, no, I can't stop because Liberia deserves better. Nelson, can you put it up real quick? And we have other information coming to us, which is scary though. I would like you guys to think about it and help us understand. The Wagner group, you remember the group from Russia? Did you see the article that came out? They said they are thinking about visiting Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, and Liberia.
What's scary about it? If you listen to the outcome from the coup leader in Niger, you listen to the present leader in Burkina Faso.
Nelson, put that thing down. That's not what we're talking about, please. Whoever put it up, can you put it down? Thank you. Go ahead, Georgie.
And if you listen to the resounding support from Mali and Guinea, all of them are singing in unison that when you abuse your people, when you abuse your constitution, when you steal from your nation, then before ECOWAS can direct themselves toward fighting coup and rebellion in West Africa, they must fight towards democracy and leaders treating their people better and not stepping on the term limit, not abusing the constitution.
But I understand, Judge. I don't think I want to believe this story though. Because I think the story is not targeting the truth, but the story is targeting an individual. That's what I'm coming from.
No, he made mention. He made mention of those other countries. he made mention of the atrocities that are committed against our people and constitution on a regular basis. Now, this is not a Russia-US situation. I'm simply highlighting to you why the young people of West Africa are happy to support such actions, because the elected, so-called elected leaders abuse our constitution on a day-to-day basis. The people have no future. Things are difficult. So in those instances, whoever stand up to say this is wrong, they have a lot of support. It's just a comment. It's not in support of anything.
I'm muted. Let me bring in Fagon. Fagon, it's troubling for the RP News to run with this story, but you can tell me where you stand because that's what you do best. And putting Michael Rubin name attaching it to this and saying that these guys, the Wagner Group, now focusing on that part of West Africa, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, and Liberia.
Well, first of all, let me greet our people out there in Radio Land, also our people watching on social media, as well as whatever platforms seems available to them. Speaking of the Wagner Group, a Russian-backed mercenary group, we're getting feedback like someone is, either the dog have not eaten and is panting, and that dog seems to be a very big dog. We need to, if he comes around, we need to take care of him. But again, the Wagner Group, as it relates to West Africa, one must understand that West Africa is already impoverished. And if you follow the trend of events in the south, in the sub-region, you will come to leverage the understanding that Mali, when the coup happened there, they expelled the French and welcomed the Russians. Burkina Faso, the same happened. Guinea did not expel the French, but they took matters into their own hand and threatened recently to expel US officials. That's 3. We can go on and look at Niger and other areas. But for the sake of time, why is it that the Wagner Group seem to have leverage in the sub-region? It's because it is becoming apparent that Western nations supposedly seem to be much more interested in the resources they gather than the people who are supposed to benefit. Therefore, it is interesting to note that I can submit to you that they benefit from the resources and the people suffer because a few fingerfold of pseudo-political technocrats masquerading under the canopy of democracy can seize control of these negotiations and benefit from it personally. Case in point for Liberia, for example, you and I reported on the 50 billion carbon stuff. It is pleasing now to note that we have evidence that this government have entered into an agreement for over 10 million hectares or so over a period of 30 years. Of course, we'll talk about that in depth. But let's look at ArcelorMittal. Let's look at Golden Beryllium. Let's look at Western Cluster as a case in point or a case under study. You and I sat on this platform looking at Bomi County that does not have even 300,000 US dollars in her account as a county, and is one of the poorest counties in the country. But yet, on a weekly basis, $13 million worth of iron ore is shuffled out of that place. And $14 million, and these are facts, and I'm challenging anybody around the country to dispute what I'm saying. A county as poor as Bomi can waive $14 million to a multi-billion-dollar company and then turn around and be losing $13 million a week, and yet the people there live under 25 cents per day? Come on. So again, you heard the U.S. ambassador when he said the government have not asked for evidence, and this government, whether formal or informal, have never contacted the U.S. government, the U.S. government, on the basis of all of the evidences they can produce on corruption. So when groups like Wagner show up, the people celebrate, because the people that are supposed to punish these people have a lackadaisical approach to justice. And those that are supposed to bring to bear on them the powers are the ones benefiting from the resources. So where do we stand? I submit to you that Wagner is touring the sub-region based on the way, like my friend said, the people are treated. And I wouldn't be surprised if it hits Liberia. But God forbid, the United States government and her allies will not allow such a thing to happen. I submit on that note.
Then let me, before I move up, Daniel Sando, DOS, I believe you followed this story as well. It's troubling. We understand what's happening, what they did in other African countries, and what they did in Ukraine and continue to do in Ukraine. As much as we need a peaceful transfer of power when it comes to the election, but to go through and read these stories and want Liberians to pay attention. Russian mercenaries in Liberia under the disguise of businessman Michael Rubin. Attaching Michael Rubin to this story, that's why I'm saying that it's troubling. And because you got to understand, I believe this is all political. I don't know your take on it, but plan to unseat. I think these guys are coming from a whole different, or political party, or somebody, maybe the government or somebody is planting a seed that is not right. But talk to me, because you're in Liberia. It's troubling receiving this information, Daniel Sando.
Certainly, it is troubling for our country, but I'd like to take it from the angle from which we are seeing it. Who is Michael Rubin? Michael Rubin is a blogger, a United States blogger who has been doing some critical writing, basically against, quote unquote, the CDC-led government. And on the other hand, Michael Rubin has also been doing some promotional articles for Mr. Cummings and the ANC. We read how Michael Rubin wrote about the story on the airport, how Weah was abandoned, and embarrassingly, there was no delegation from the U.S. government to receive President Weah when he arrived in the United States for, I think, the UN General Assembly last year, or some foreign visit that he had made there. So for them to be linking Michael Rubin to this story, I think it has a political undertone. It either seeks to discredit him on the one hand, but equally so, I wanted to see it from another perspective. The Wagner Group has been making some inroads on the African continent. And basically what they are doing is to use drugs, raw cash to undermine weaker democracy in Africa. We saw that happen in Guinea. We see how it went out, how it played out in Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and what have you. So news of Wagner operations or operative across the sub-region shouldn't come as a surprise. Regardless of the angle this write-up might have taken, I think we should be concerned about the presence and the inroads that the Wagner Group, the mercenary group, has made on the African continent. We should now begin to ask ourselves as geopolitical pundits, what is happening? You see, the Francophone countries on the African continent have been penetrated, they've been infiltrated. Government toppled, And I was very astonished when I was listening to the BBC, I think a day or two following the coup in Niger. And the Wagner Group issued a statement voluntarily offering their services, military assistance to the army in Niger, because the West African leader had threatened military action or intervention if they didn't reinstate the democratically elected president, Mohamed Bazoum. So that alone tells you that they're not hiding their hands any longer. They're doing it visibly. And this, for me, from an international perspective, is a neo-colonization of Africa. We survived the colonial period. Now we are witnessing the repartition of Africa. Western powers want to re-establish the strength on the African continent. Russia has succeeded. They have Guinea, they have Mali, they have Burkina Faso, they have Niger. And don't be surprised. They are pushing forward to extend their tentacles to other countries with weaker democracy. Liberia can be no exception. Our security is fragile. We have an army of less than 2,000 men. We have a police force that is almost dead, non-existent. We have a security system that can be easily infiltrated. You have a democracy that is not solid. The government is corrupt. People are dissatisfied. That's the fertile ground for the penetration of the Wagner mercenary in the country. So we shouldn't take it lightly, regardless of the angle this story comes from. We are concerned about the security implication in our country because the foundation has been laid, evident by the underperformance of the weak government. The armed forces is very tiny. You don't have an infantry or even 2,000 men to even go to war. The security sector is very porous. If all these things happening, we have to be concerned about this report. We have heard it through the grapevine, and you now have credible news outlet writing about it. The government need to strengthen the security system. Liberians to be concerned. And that's why from the beginning I said that the electoral process has to be managed with meticularity. We have to be very cautious as we proceed because this moment is a moment that it could use to undermine democracy in Liberia. We shouldn't take it.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Thank you. And this is very important because we're going through the story, understanding this is big. George Soto, I want to bring you in, and Dr. Richardson will come on live because it's true. Michael Rubin, he writes some good stuff about Mr. Cummings and a very, very other stuff concerning the CDC government. And talk to me, Mr. Soto. Let's understand this real quick, man. It would not be a good thing for the region. Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, and how you call them, Liberia. But before you come in, though, I want you to wait 1 minute. Let me post this. This is what Sierra Leone shared, and I hope the young man there was able to put it up. Sierra Leone yesterday or 2 days ago, they shared something, which, okay, we're going to find it. There we go. I think this is it. Nope. All right, we're going to share it later. Somebody trying to cause problem in Sierra Leone. They had a big fly up statement out yesterday, and some arrests were made. So these things are concerning. Understanding that it just came from an election, though. Talk to me, George, while we put up this information for the sake of our audience. Talk to us. You're muted, Georgie.
I will agree with both my brother Fagon and my other brother who highlighted the Wagner Group issue. Now, the Wagner Group is a business unit. They sell something. They sell war. They sell arms. Who looks for war and who look for arms? They are deprived people. People abused by their democracy. People abused by their elected leaders. People who do not feel the value of their constitution. So is concerning for who? It's not concerning for the West African who is looking for their rights. It's not unwelcoming for the ordinary West African who is looking for jobs. It's not unwelcoming for the ordinary African, be it Guinea, Burkina Faso, Mali, or Niger, who is tired of being abused in the name of democracy. Now, there is a recipe for any business unit. That recipe is to sell product. You sell product in the environment where your product is needed. If our government creates the recipe that is surrounded by corruption, that is surrounded by the abuse of rule of law, that is surrounded by insecurity, but is surrounded by unemployment and hardship and poverty, then the Wagner Group sends their SOS out and their marketing flyers out, and they say, we are here. So this is a simple recipe. If you want to sell something, you go to who wants to buy it. So let's get to the basis of why the Wagner Group have made progress in West Africa. Simply because of our lack of good governance. So when you see people in the street in Guinea, when you see people in the street in Burkina Faso, when you see people saying we're tired of this, it is because of the abuse of their government. So you cannot sell something to someone who is not willing to buy it. And I've been in Liberia for 5 months. Why will Liberians not buy this? Why would any African not buy this? If you listen to the leader of Burkina Faso, the Niger coup leader, in his last statement, he said, there's a young breed of Africans. We are not afraid. We will stand up for our rights. We will stand up for what belongs to us. Where was ECOWAS when Alpha Conde stepped on the Constitution and got himself another term? Where was ECOWAS when these leaders are stealing from their people? When they are making unnecessary promises. For the last 6 years, the Congress for Democratic Change-led government have been stirring the pot around injustice, around inequality, around abuse of the Constitution, and around safety of citizens. So if you start,
we having problem hearing you, George. We having problem with.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's better now. Yes. Are you what part of America are you at? What kind of internet you using though? Anyway, we can hear you.
Man, you see, stand on the play the carroting because now on East Coast, so my internet different. Well, my man, stop it in here, man. America, man. Just stop it in here, man.
No, man.
Just say, Georgie, adjust your headphone. Or in Liberia, you pick the photo me and respond, you bring it way here again. You can hear me now?
You better now, please. Don't follow Fagon self for back.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes. So the reality is the government create the recipe for Wagner Group to put their flyer outside and say, we are here. If the government is living...
Let me hold you right there. Will you approve such a move, though? Because we don't want no more conflict now. Somebody come in the city.
Yes, I do. I do. Look.
You what?
Yeah, listen. I approve any move that is in the interest of the masses. If that includes...
No. Let me hold you right there. I'm begging you, please. No. You are not calling for another war. You are not calling for another civil conflict. That's not what you're doing on the show tonight, are you? Former Chairman John Soto.
A recipe.
We're not hearing you, brother. Amen. All right, Dr. Richardson, let's come to you, and we'll go back to Georgie. We'll go back to Georgie when we can get him. Let's come to you, Dr. Richardson. I believe we are about a little over 2 months to this election. Such a report, it is concerning, though. Can you talk to Liberians tonight? Such a report, such a release.
Yeah, I also want to say I agree with the previous speakers. I believe that the Wagner Group will use any avenue. They are a manipulative group. They will use any avenue to take over a country for geopolitical reasons. If your country, your government is not strong enough and is not providing the needs of the citizens, or if it's not abiding to the Constitution, they're going to use that avenue to manipulate and sell their product as Solo said. They will sell their product, which is arms and war. We hope that that shouldn't happen in our country. I particularly want a free and fair election, but they can be very manipulative, as you know, it has been pointed out that they succeeded in places like Mali, Burkina Faso. But I think Daniel hit this whole issue of the whole geopolitical concerns. Now the Cold War is over. That was the fight between the United States and Russia. We are including China, who has been very, very popular in Africa and has taken a lot of our control of our countries in Africa. And so I won't be surprised if there's this talk of war going on between now and the United States, who just sort of made a commitment to be more involved in African affairs, and Russia and China. So that's kind of what I'll be looking out for. But I think countries in Africa need to step up to the plate. They need to make sure that they're guiding their countries. In that article, they mentioned a specific businessman, the name of a specific person. I don't know if you guys one Mili Kamu, I believe. They said that that's a person that is in Liberia. And if I was a government, I would track that person down if such a person exists. But yeah, if government can create an avenue for the Wagner Group to come in the country.
Fagon, this thing getting, listen, Fagon, do you think with this information and everything else, do you think we would rather have an election in Liberia?
Let's talk about who is Medicare first.
No. We'll come to that. I want us to do this software. We are not many. Let's enjoy ourselves for a minute. We got to understand who these guys are later. Fagon, do you think we're going to have election in Liberia, though?
Apart from the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf factor, I don't, when I say apart from that, because she has cluttered the electoral field with her candidates and have cluttered our political space with unnecessary political parties. You left from having 21 political parties 6 years ago to now having 46 political parties. You went from having almost 20 candidates to now you're having, a few candidates to now 20 candidates. I am saying this in regards to your question. Do you think we will have election? Of course. Mm-hmm. Of course we'll have election because we are due for elections. But there are so many troubling signs. For example, we agreed that registration was not certification. You and I know exactly what the law said. The law says if you don't get 2%, you're not supposed to be in the race. We're seeing people there. The law says they should do due diligence. Convicted, not alleged. Not alleged, but convicted. Prince Johnson's never been convicted. Vanny Sherman never been convicted. Nathaniel McGill never been convicted. But there are several convicted criminals who is registered and they are passing. Will we have elections? We're now told that the electoral superintendents or supervisors who are supposed to oversee the elections. Guess what, Stanton? I got that information yesterday, confirmed it today. The Election Commission have hired people online, and they are supposed to give you a TSA number. And up to today, they are having problem with that group, no training, and on the day of elections, do not expect to see people covering various centers because if you apply online, you will get your answer online. So now the TSA number is assigned to you online. And those who apply are not even enough. This is actual information I'm feeding you. Will we have elections? Yes. If we don't have election, it will come from my Ellen playbook. And they will call for an interim government. And then you will have 19 political parties agreeing against the Unity Party, Joseph Newman Boakai, and his collaborators. But whether we have elections or not, there is one thing I'm certain about. We will have inauguration. We will have inauguration in 2024. The Liberian people will install, I say install, a democratically selected or elected president. Either ways, the president will either be elected or selected. It's up to how the individuals want to play their games. But every poll in the country show Joseph Newman Parker in double-digit leads. No one is even close. So we will install. We will have elections or we have selections. One of the two. Either way.
Thank you.
There will be election or selection.
Wow. So let me bring in. Come on, Daniel. Before we get back to our brother Soro, Daniel, talk to us. Who is this guy? The muddy guy. Who is he? We give you the chance. Then I don't know him. Never heard of him. So help us understand who is this guy.
Well, Melik Kemon is a Liberian an infamous Liberian who was deported from the United States. He has strong ties with Vice President Joy Howard Taylor, and he's an operative of the CDC government. That's why when I received a call from Sierra Leone last week, and this informant was outlining the operation of the Wagner Group in Liberia, and Melik Kemon's name stood up tall in our story.
Wow.
He is the contact person for the Wagner Group in Liberia, and the U.S. government should not take it lightly because Melik Kemon has had a very notorious history with the United States government before he was deported back to Liberia. Yeah.
Are you discussing this thing on the I mean, come on now. You can receive any calls from anyone. Why are you nailing this guy? Why are you saying that you have that close ties? No, this is the spoon talk. We have to be.
We said there are scores of people who follow the work we do in Liberia, and they're very concerned about the peace and stability of this country.
Is it only because he's having a working relationship, or he knows the VP, or his association affiliation with CDC? So you are from Liberty Party now trying to nail him. We'll come to you, Georgie. Why are you saying this guy is? I beg you, Georgie, you will come in. I beg you. Why are you nailing this guy on the Wagner Group? Why are you nailing this guy on Russia? Why do you think this guy is an operative right now?
Because there is a logical inference. There is a well corroborated logical inference here. I received a call from one of our informants based in Sierra Leone. We're talking about how the Sierra Leone election was rigged. And this person goes on to say that you have to be mindful because Liberia is next in line. How is Liberia next in line? He narrates a story and goes on to inform me that they have a plan for Liberia and Melik Kemon is the appointment. He's doing X, Y, and Z. The story written by this journalist also mentioned Melik Kemon. So I'm a logical person. I do not believe that out of the 5.1 million people in Liberia, Melik Kemon is the only person who people decide to lie on. I'm not saying the story is true, but I'm saying there's a logical inference that gave me reason to believe that given Melik Kemon's own history, he's now fired from the workings of the Wagner Group. Mind you, Victor Bott, who was recently released from the U.S. prison, is the original founder of the Wagner Group. Prigozhin is only conducting Victor Bott's business in his absence. Victor Bott has been released because that NBA player who went to Russia, what she went for, she got in problem. They had to do prisoner exchange. Victor Bott is back in Russia and has taken over. And you see the kind of gains and inroads. What do they want? Natural resources in exchange for military support.
So we'll come back to you. I want to hold you there. I'm asking the folks to find us Cameron picture. We're going to post his picture, and the folks, please read about this. It's troubling. It is troubling. I just don't want us to call folks' names in vain. But his name was mentioned on this article. Before I go to my brother George Solo, folks, we are discussing plan to unseat Weah and others. This was on the RP News. West African leaders tip to be toppled by the Russian Wagner Group. You understand the headlines today says Russian mercenaries in Liberia under disguise of businessmen. Michael Rubin, who's the businessman, they will call Kemone. So as you follow us, I want you to dig deeper yourself. We also received this information. That's what I was going, Judgy. But just hold on 1 minute. Let me read it. It was addressed to the embassy concerning Sierra Leone. When these things, there we go, concerning Sierra Leone. All right, it reads, I will read it very, very quickly. It's saying that I am pleased to present my compliment and have the honor to report on an allied coup plot in the Republic of Sierra Leone involving Sierra senior military officer. Now, this information came up August 1st, 2023, just yesterday. Just yesterday, this release was sent. According to a Sierra Leone police press release, certain individuals have been suspected of planning to undermine the peace and tranquility of the state. You can read it, the rest of the story there, but the fact is that the allegation of coup plot in the Republic of Sierra Leone, and this individual's putting up the statement on the newspaper, the RP News, that the Wagner Group, they are getting very close. Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, and Liberia. Just so you say you know your boy, come on, talk to us and help Liberians understand whether this thing is true and how troubling it is. You are muted, sir.
Mr. Kimon, can you hear me now clearly, Stanton?
Yes, you are, sir. You are.
In the United States of America, and I do have functioning internet, FYI. So,
Thank you.
Firstly, Mr. Kimon was appointed as Consul General for the Russian Federation. I've seen his letter. And I know
Do you have it?
Appointed.
Do you have it? Can you send it to us?
I just sent that letter to you, Stanton.
Thank you very much.
Stanton.
We're going to post it. Thank you.
I can authenticate that. I have seen it. And I think Mr. Kiamon's affiliation with this whole thing is when you are the Consul General of a country, you don't have to be a citizen, but you push the economic interests of that country. That's what Mr. Kiamon signed up for. That's what he's doing. And so it doesn't surprise me that his name gets mixed up into this Wagner Group situation. However, based on my previous premise for why the Wagner Group as a mercenary unit is able to put their marketing flyers in West Africa and come to West Africa and succeed in West Africa is simply because our governments have created the menu and the ingredients, abuse of their people, corruption, abuse of the Constitution. All of those things are signal. The Wagner Group is selling something. They're selling war and ammunition. Wherever people are suffering, they will put out their flyers. So I think the direct line by Daniel on Mr. Kiamon is not legitimate. He's a Liberian. In fact, he's in the elections. He's running in Bon County. He's certified by the NEC. So this is someone who is running in an electoral process. If he was working with Wagner Group and trying to have a coup, he would not be in the electoral process trying to get elected. So I'll throw that out. I'll throw that out as hearsay. I'll throw that out as irrelevant. I'll throw that out as any Liberian who affiliate with someone is responsible for their action in our simple Liberian terms. Now, let's go back to the Wagner Group. Let's go back to Burkina Faso. Let's go back to Mali. Let's go back to Guinea. And let's go to the most recent situation in Niger. What everyone must understand is that separate of Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea have committed that if ECOWAS do send forces to Niger, all of them will combine and defend Niger. If you listen to the coup leaders' comment,
in Niger, it was very clear. Do you sustain democracy when you steal from your people on a daily basis? When you close their economic opportunities?
All right, the man said he had internet, good internet. I mean, Daniel Sano, the man said he got good internet though.
I have a
But
question.
y'all can see, right? Dr. Richardson, go ahead.
So I was hearing Fagon say that he believes Ellen has her hands in disrupting the elections on the one hand, but then I'm also hearing Daniel Sanders saying that Camus is a CDC, I don't know, partisan, or he kind of affiliates himself with CDC. So if he is, who is he going to rig the election for? Like, is he going to rig it for CDC or for the Liberian or for? I'm just curious. Yeah.
Fagon, it's to you. It's to you, Fagon.
Well, now you're asking for Mele Camus, and that's why I sent the letter. He's a very, very, very tight, close, subject to interpretation friend of Vice President Joel Howard Taylor. And I don't think the U.S. government can deny knowing about their friendship. Okay? Their friendship is beyond close, if you like. And that's not my business to go any further than to accept what they've told us, the Liberian people. She's even visited Russia before to hang out with him. So she cannot deny that. That letter shows exactly her dealings with the Russian government, influencing the Russian government to go ahead and appoint him. She's been very instrumental in getting him now on the ballot in Bonn. So if you say he rigs the election, who will he be doing it in favor of? Of course, who? It is going to be her. But does he have the power to rig the election? No. What he does have the power to do is what he has done, to bring in the Russians like they did in 2017. George Soros is in the United States. You can't tell me he in Liberia where his internet should be buffering. But perhaps the position he is taking, the Russians are now going after his computers. They're very good at that. Okay? So he's currently in the US. He shouldn't be buffering. But again, what is he doing? He's helped to bring in the Russians. They're going to help to influence or undermine our elections. Who will they be doing it for? Of course, his girlfriend, Joel Howard Taylor. And I say girlfriend because she's a lady, or maybe I should say lady friend. And everybody knows their relationship is close. So I would be thinking about a prophecy video that I saw. Joel is the vice president, but she always has ambition. So to answer your question, it will be for them, not for JMB. But it is counterproductive to our democracy. It undermines and undercuts the values of our democracy. And most importantly, it sows the seeds for another upheaval that we're not prepared for. However, they should not underestimate our ability to respond. Russia should know that Liberia is not a playground. We've demonstrated amongst ourselves our capability of doing what we do. But if they involve themselves in our war, they will take nothing from Liberia other than body bags. They do not know our terrain, and they can be assured that our democracy is not for sale. Now, if you say the difference between that and Ellen have demonstrated what Ellen knows best. She's the Maradona of our politics. So to dump 46 parties, over half of the 46 into our electoral field, and position almost 15 candidates on her own to water down the votes of JMB, so as to ensure that it's a second round, where then her 15 candidates will come up and say, we pledge our support to George Weah. No, voters' education is important. and we will educate our people on the importance of having a first round victory as opposed to what happened in 2017.
Thank you, Fagon. Can you hear me? I'm not going to defend my internet, Stanton. Like Fagon said.
Ain't done yet.
No, I was just going to tell Mr. Fagon that he has a lot of faith in what Ellen can do. You know, I don't believe for one bit that she's orchestrating our elections. I don't believe that.
Can you give me 30 seconds to tell Dr. Francine something? Dr. Francine, after the United States government, the State Department, referred to that government as a kleptocratic regime, that they're the most corrupt, that they have carried out extrajudicial killings, and the proliferation of drugs seem unimaginable. And as such, they have pillaged and have ransacked the entire nation, reducing it to nothing, increasing law and order at its bottom pit. Are you suggesting to me that you were not surprised to see George Weah, whose government was accused of extrajudicial killings, proliferation of drugs like never seen, and corruption at its apex? Were you not surprised to see him laying on the shoulders of Joe Biden and having a conversation? Were you not surprised seeing him meeting the Israeli president and the prime minister? We know what Ellen can do. Like her, hate her, she is the Diego Maradona of Liberian politics. Except that this time, she will meet Makiniki, the Cameroonian defender that stopped Diego Maradona. She's about to meet him in this match that is about to play.
So,
Thank you very much.
The only thing I can say to you is, Mr. Fagon, in as much as the United States tend to be supporting leaders in Africa, they also can show a different attitude towards those leaders. You were one of this person who broke the news of George Weah coming here and going to the security apparatus of the United States. We don't know what to discuss. So in as much as they can favor you, they can also, in the matters of second, if you're breaking the rule of democracy, if you are mismanaging your people, they can turn it back on you too. So I don't,
But that's what we're saying. He
Thank you. Let's bring in Josh. Let's bring in Josh Solo. Let's bring in.
I lost a lot of my time
before internet goes out.
And Mr. Fagon, I think you are absolutely right. In Liberia, my internet get problem. Here, my internet get problem. So I'm not going to rule out the possibility of intrusion. But I want to be realistic about the Wagner Group. The Wagner Group come to places where there's trouble. They come to places where there's democratic instability. They come to places where their actual marketing flyers support them to say the people are unhappy and we can be of value there. Now, let's just forward this to Liberia. Liberia fits all of the criteria for the recipe for Wagner Group to come in. And not just the criteria. I will go back to someone you had on the show, Sheikh, where it is very clear that President Weah engaged in some backdoor pre-election arrangement with Russian businessmen. All of these Russian businessmen are connected to Wagner. So why is it surprising to you that Wagner is in Liberia? Our constitution has been abused. Our people have been abused. There's no rule of law. There's no security. The CDC government is basically running on a hinge. Nobody goes to work. Everybody sits in Jamaica, resort, drinking and taking whatever they take as much as they can. So when you add all of those equations, then I have to ask this panel again, why not Wagner? Why is the Wagner Group not finding Liberia attractive enough to send their flyer and to get into it? Previously, I was defending Mr. Camus. I know him. He's in the race. NEC have certified him to run in Bond County. He's affiliated with former Vice President Joel Howard Taylor. But in no way, shape, or form is he adhering to what is going on in Liberia. He was simply appointed as the Consul General. So remove him from the equation. Look at the Wagner Group. Look at the recipe being created in Liberia by President George Weah and his government. that allowed the Wagner Group to say, well, this is another spot in West Africa where the people need help, where we can sell our services, where someone will buy our services. You don't sell services where they are not needed. Everybody know business 101. You build your product, you sell it to where it's needed. Market demand determines where you sell your product. Liberia is on the high end of the market demand. 7 Israelis on your show were brought to Liberia. We talked about it on your show. Was brought to Liberia to manipulate the system. The election commissions that we're looking at now, it's not a fair election commission. You know it. The voter registration process was not fair. The debt in Liberia is more than any other country. No jobs, no future for the youth. If you look at Liberia now, it's the same recipe that presented itself in Mali. It's the same one that represented itself in Guinea. It's the same one that represented itself in Niger. It's the same one that represented itself in Burkina Faso. So why are we having a conversation as if the Wagner Group dropped out of the sky? Why is the Wagner Group not going to Rwanda? Why are they not going to South Africa? Why are they not going to Uganda and other places? Why are they not sending their flyers to those places? Because those governments are not giving them the invite. Our government behavior, and it might not even be the Wagner Group. It might be Liberians who say we're tired. You saw 1980, you saw 1990, you saw 1985, you saw April 6th. It wasn't the Wagner Group. It was Liberians who were tired. Liberians are now tired. So, you can elevate this to a Wagner level because it has become a global trend. But I tell you, go to West Point, go to Newtown, go to Gibraltar, go to the hills of Nimba, go to the bushes of Grand Jide and Lofa. Liberians are feeling like this. Liberians are feeling like if we don't stand up, we don't get nothing.
But Josh, I don't think Liberians, though they are feeling the pinch, they are dying, they are suffering. But I don't think they want us to go back to those days.
I disagree with you. I felt the same way. I felt the same way until Liberians woke up again. After 1980, I never thought we'll see it. After 1990, I never thought we'll see it. I felt the same way. I said Liberians will never go this route. And they did. Don't underestimate the power of poverty. Don't underestimate the power of hunger. Don't underestimate a father waking up in his morning and not knowing what his kids are going to eat or how he'll pay their tuition. Don't underestimate a father waking up at 4 a.m. so he can leave the house before his landlord wake up. Stanton, I've been there 5 months. Don't underestimate Liberian people, because what we do, we transition from talking and feeling bad all the way to cutting ears.
Yeah, but okay, I'm going to pause you there because I want to bring in Daniel Sando, Dr. Richardson, and Eugene Lamin Fagon. Gentlemen,
don't underestimate them in 1992 Operation Octopus. Don't underestimate them in 94 when they moved into
and don't underestimate them in 2023 when you try it. Don't underestimate us.
Don't underestimate. Liberians will sit, but when you push them, they will wake up.
Don't underestimate us.
Hold on 1 minute. Let me bring Daniel. He's drinking his tea or his coffee or his atay. Daniel, whatever you're drinking are trying to make you high. Talk to us real quick, my brother. Yeah, the man drinking something that making him high. I don't know what's that he's drinking. But talk to us, man. You think Liberia have come to that place?
I don't get high. I don't get high, Stanton. I'm drinking lemon tea.
Okay, thank you very much. We're not seeing white in the cup, so
don't you get high on intellectual properties?
Don't you get high on revolutionaryism and the right of the people?
Daniel, you in Liberia. Are you believing, and can you just agree or disagree with what George Soto and Fagon saying? You think the people they are to the place right now that they will rise up just to prove a point and say, yes, we're tired of suffering?
The country, as it is currently constituted, is like a powder cake that is waiting to explode. Prior to the war, Liberia was like a powder cake waiting to explode. Dr. Boyman Famule said in his famous speech before the TRC that just an argument at a soccer match could spark the chaos. The movement was red. Right now, the movement is red. So do not underestimate what Fagon and Mr. Solo has said. But the point I want to make, I see Dr. Richardson coming back at Fagon when he said Ellen is trying to undermine the electoral process by planting in insignificant candidate. You cannot doubt Ellen dealing with the current regime. Do you remember when Ellen visited MCC to say that she carried a message from the mayor of Freetown to Jefferson Koji? She didn't carry any message. She had gone to tell Koji that Morva was dirty and Koji should allow Maryborough to take over the task force to clean the city. When Ellen left, a few days after, President George Weah constituted a task force headed by Maryborough. So again, it is no secret that President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has said that in spite of the fact that she disappointed over the performance of the Weah government, even though she knows that the international community is not pleased with the transition that she left, but she cannot live to see Joseph Boakai become president. That is why we are grateful for the leader we have in Liberty Party. Nyomdi Kanga Lauren looking Ellen face and say, you are not God. We will not support Mr. Cummings. Darrell didn't look in her face and say, Madam President, you are the problem. That's why we are supporting Joseph Boakai. But beyond our support for Boakai, we do not have to overlook the current situation in the country. We are not far from where we were when we went into a crisis. And any government that dared to be ignorant to the country history will plunge us back to where we came from. Of course, I agree with you. Liberians do not want to go back to where we came from, ripping up each other's intestine to make roadblocks, cutting human head in broad daylight. We don't want to go back to that point. But when it seems that those in charge of the authority of the state have not learned any lesson from the past, when you push the man too much, the people will not drink the salt water in the sea. It will bounce back at you. What Mr. Weah is doing, the arrogance, the deliberate arrogance, to even hear government officials say, oh, we know that the government can win the election free and fair, but we'll rig the election. It's an affront. It's an affront. People in the government saying it, that they are going to rig the elections. We're not going to amplify what they say, but equally so, we're not going to take it lightly. Because while we want peace, we want tranquility, we want a transition that will nurture and sustain our democracy, we will not allow ourselves to be taken for a ride by a government that has proven to be grossly incompetent and incapable to execute the function and duties of the Liberian presidency. So I agree with the two distinguished gentlemen that the country is like a powder cake waiting to explode.
To that point, let me ask you a question, Daniel, real quick before we leave here and move on. Let me ask you this, though. A lot of rumors out there saying the election will be rigged. It's about time we discuss this. Oh, the election will be rigged. Oh, this thing is not right. Oh, da. And all the people are saying, listen, if they rig the election, then we'll go back to 1990, 1989. Are you adding that as well? You think this somebody going to spark something and say election is rigged and therefore we should just create problem, Daniel Sano?
The first thing, why should people rig an election in a democratic society? That's what cost-benefit analysis. In whose interest is it when people decide to rig the election? It is in their interest, not in the country's interest. So do we sit supinely and allow Eugene Nangwe, Jefferson Koji to have their will by thwarting the will of the Liberian people? We are no cowards here. When you push the Liberian people, we're not going to go into the sea to drink the salt water. We'll come back at you. So the government has got a constitutional responsibility to sustain the peace of the country and transition political power when the people vote them out. An attempt to clinch the power is
You are the
undemocratic.
spokesman of Liberty Party. I must move on, but let me hold you right there. What are you looking for? How can you prove that this election will be rigged? Or after the election, on the 11th, on the 12th, the election is rigged. Then what are you looking for? Liberty Party under Yombi Kanga Lawrence, after you have 23 presidential candidates, maybe 14, 16 of them, like Fagon said, will come and say, oh, Mr. President, you are re-elected. At what point you think the opposition party, Unity Party, Yombi Kanga Liberty Party, MDR, Prince Johnson, and Jeremiah Kuhn, and all those people that have come together, at what point will they say, no, Liberia, this election is rigged? What are your signs?
So what
will you be looking for?
Yeah, here's a point. We cannot doubt the ability of the people in power to do anything. We can't doubt the ability of the CDC. That's why we are scrupulously following all of the steps at the National Elections Commission. The next thing that we're going to do is to assure the Liberian people that a vote for Joseph Boakai will be protected. Stanton, if we have all the records of count in our possession, that will grossly undermine the desire of the government to rig the election. If we can deploy intelligent, and sound pool watchers at all of the voting precincts in Liberia, make sure 5 hours after the pool closes, after counting, you can have your results at your disposal and be ahead of the Election Commission at least 3 hours. Then they will know that we have significantly undermined or mitigate the possibility of tampering with the vote of the Liberian people. In the absence of that,
finish up.
We cannot doubt the ability of George. We have to do anything stupid with the election.
Do you think President Weah intend to rig this election? It's a fair question.
I cannot doubt Mr. Weah's ability. I cannot doubt the ability of people in government. Look what CDC have done. All the unthinkable things.
Do you think under the leadership of Eugene Lin Nangbe, President Weah, the sponsor from Finance Ministry, Samuel Twe, and the rest of them, do you think they have the intention of rigging October 10, 2023 election?
I cannot equally doubt the ability. Yes, I cannot doubt the ability of Mr. Eugene Nangbe, Mr. Samuel Twe. These are people who are desperate to maintain grip on power. When you listen to Mr. Nangbe, he does not boast of the government accomplishment. What does he do? He tells you that Joseph Boakai will die tomorrow. When you listen to Samuel Twe,
we'll come back to you. Let's bring the others in real quick. Fagon, thank you very much, DOS.
No argument.
Thank you, DOS. Fagon, real quick. Do you think the same question go to everybody? And let's welcome our sister, Mampa Kowu Gono. Fagon, seriously speaking, is there any sign you research all night? You don't sleep. That's your problem. And you dig into this thing, folks in Liberia calling you crazy right now till after October 10. Are you seeing anything? Can you speak to Liberians tonight? Do you think this government, Josh Manawia, Eugene Lin Nangbe, Samuel Twe, Jefferson Koji, Moba Modu, Thomas Falat, every one of them, do you think they have that intent to rig the election?
Well, first of all, and that's why you have in your possession all of the evidences, the young man's passport, his letter of appointment, his cards and everything. You have them right now, which I know you will show to the Liberian people. But listen, in 2017, all of the evidences point to the fact that the Russians undermined our elections and had a direct role. You and me up there talking on the set, but y'all need to tell yourself, y'all need to quit. Yeah.
Fago, you know what? Fago, you crazy.
Definitely, y'all two got open.
Fago, listen, you know what she asked me just now? Who the other guy on the set? I said, well, Josh Solo. She said, Josh Solo? I said, yeah, you're right. She told me to make it. I said,
I knew my brother.
So Mimi,
she know that.
Mimi, what are you trying to say?
No, but I need now warrior. I said that need I love my brother need, but I'm
my warrior need got here. Now yeah, but the people want chi. So we gotta be ready. Then our government will bring us out again. Yeah, I waiting for Stanton to read to me. Do they want to cheat? Yes.
No, I will come to you. I will come to you if I go finish. Now, if I go just my business, you worry about who talking and who not talking. If I go ahead. If I go, you crazy. Go ahead.
So you asked the question whether these people will rig elections. Just to be able to tell you, let's revisit our past. Did it happen in 2017? Did Russians interfere within our elections? Yes, they did. Do we have the evidence in abundance? Are the witnesses alive? Yes, they are alive. The people who actually gave the money physically are all alive. So if they've done it before, what's going to stop them from doing it now? But let's look at the criminal background of the people we're dealing with. Let's not talk about 16 billion because the other people say, no, it did not get missing. Let's look at the $25 million mop-up exercise. Were they capable? Yes, they were. Let's look at the $30 million for the stimulus package. Were they capable? Yes, they were capable. Let's look at the $11 million for rice to be imported into the country. Were they capable? Yes, they were capable. Let's look at the $25 million road fund. Were they capable? Yes, they were capable. Let's look at harmonization, where people making 150 were robbed in broad daylight for a period of 5 years to where they now make $45. Were they capable? Yes, they were capable. Let's look at the Firestone retirees making $82 a month to making $18 now because government stole their money. Were they capable? Yes, they were capable. Let's leave the corruption aspect. Let's come to extrajudicial killings. What happened to Matthew Innes? Were they capable? Yes, they were capable. Albert Peters, Gifty Lama, were they capable? Yes, they were capable. George Fambutu, were they capable? Yes, they were capable. Bateniswa, were they capable? Yes, they were capable. Let's leave the extrajudicial killings that has to do with Martin Ellis, Say, or any other officer that was killed. Let's come to the proliferation of drugs. $100 million worth of drugs discovered. Were they capable? Yes, they were capable. $40 million worth of drugs. Were they capable? Yes, they were capable. So what is it I need to tell you that will make you understand that these people are capable of doing anything? Will they try to undermine the elections? Yes. And why? Because the last 6 years, they did all these things. But more so, you have a candidate from Lofa. Can George Weah beat Joseph Boakai in Lofa? No. Can George Weah beat Joseph Boakai in Nimba with Jeremiah Kuhn on the ticket? No way. Can George Weah win in Bond County? No way. Can George Weah win Monserrado? God forbid. It never happened before. Can George Weah win Bassa, Magibi, Riverses, and River G? I said to you, no. Owing to what you stand to know about Bapolu, Bomi, and Cape Mau. Can George Weah win the 3 counties? I say no. Therefore, I submit to you. If he cannot win Bapolu, Bomi, and Cape Mau, he cannot win. If he cannot win Lofa, Bong, and Nimba, that's over half of the total votes in the country. He cannot win. Let alone if he cannot win Bassa, Magibi, Riverses, and River G, he cannot win. And if he cannot win Maryland County, he cannot win. Then let's come to Monserrado. Examine yourself. Examine your conscience. Can he win anything out of the 800 and something thousand votes? If he even get 2,
no, he cannot.
Is that the reason why? I beg you.
Therefore, there is only one option left.
Yeah, that's the option I'm waiting for.
He has to rig the elections in order to win. And if he does that, then he has Bomi, Cape Mau, Bapolu, Lofa, Bong, Nimba, Grand Bassa, Magibi, Riverses, River G, Maryland, and of course, Monserrado to contend with. But I used to make mistake when I do this analysis because the cool people just called me. And the cool people said to me before I went to Minnesota, if you and George Weah can come to Grand Coup and show us, we'll vote for him. The Grand Judah people say, if you can show us one thing that George Weah can show that he did for us who voted for him in 2005.
So we'll come back to you. Let's run this. Let's run this, Fagon.
So
we'll come back to you.
Over.
Yeah, but Fagon, please. Before we bring in Solo, Fagon, how? The question will be how.
You know,
they intend to rig. I beg you, Solo. I will come to you. Let me get in 10 seconds real quick. How this will happen, Fagon? 10 seconds. You have any idea? Can you help?
Yes. When the reason why he pushed for this voters, biometric voters registration owing to the illiteracy rate in our country, because anything that is done technologically can be manipulated, especially if it has to do with algorithms. Now, fast forward from 2017. Did you not sit right and see all the evidence that the election was interfered with by the Russians? Now it's not only the Russians, but now he's brought in the Israelis. So they are attempting to manipulate everything. But what is not on their side is people like you, Stanton, who have said here, will do everything to protect the votes of the Liberian people. Whether it be for Kumis or anybody, it doesn't matter. So there will be electoral tally on the night of the election. Every Liberian will be outside the polling areas and they will watch their votes counted. Any attempt for one to attempt will be met with stiff resistance by the people. I guarantee you that the people are resolved to watch their votes. And if they manipulate the system, they will have the people to contend with.
Thank you. So it's very important, folks. If you listen to us again, trust me, we're talking about the radio station. A lot of you want us to talk about this radio station thing. We're making some development. And also, we will be relaying on in Bon County and Nima County. Prince Johnson have given us his entire network in Nima County for the Spoon Talk to be relayed from that end. So we'll be back in the people's ears. You know, they can try, they won't win. Solomon, let me ask you, my brother, real quick, Solo. The issue here is why you think President Weah then going to rig this election and how would they rig the election? Two powerful questions tonight. Why and how?
Yes, I believe they will. One, when you look at the institution, there's no foundation. There's no real campaigning. The real sedition sitting out there disappointed. The president and his co-hosts have disappointed everyone. If you look at his campaign team, it's surrounded by cheaters, people who are used to rigging system like the Eugene Nambwe. When you ask the how, you have to be a part of a process of theft to know how it's going to be done. But the why and the value of what it brings to it is what my brother Fagon was just highlighting on. CDC have said clearly through communication. I went to Liberia. I was there for 5 months. Then I sat with Samuel Twe. He was giving 58% for a round. I listened to Akara Great and telling people Ellen cheated or so what we can cheat too. We talk about the 7 Israelis in Liberia. I told you, I've said it publicly. George, we are living the same house, we share everything. Tibeto Brown Lasana used to come from George, we are rolling the morning and say, Solo, how are you? I say, fine. She get her shoe in her hand, she go home.
No.
The election commission. No, I'm not getting into that. I'm telling you. I'm telling you that the electoral process, the people sitting on the commission. No. Stanton.
So, but you said something we didn't understand you.
It's okay.
Okay, we're going on.
We're going on. Let's proceed.
I want to. No. I will mute you. I said the message. I will mute you. It's not okay.
No, I said.
I want to hear everything what to say. Go ahead.
Solo. My point is simple. The election commission is compromised. 5 of the commissioners. 5 of the commissioners.
I just want to hear what the man say.
No.
5
of the election commissioners are compromised.
That's
The
all.
whole
Go ahead.
biometric system, like Fagon said, is compromised. The CDC do not have the bandwidth, the campaign bandwidth, the capability to reach out to Liberians. I was there for 5 months, that is clear. The perception that Grand Judah is for George Weah is a lie. Samuel Doe's son, who is a crown citizen, was fired by George Weah. Nancy Doe was given a ruling by ECOWAS that is not respected today. Don't go to Grand Judah County and take us for idiots that we support George Weah. That is a lie, just like Fagon said. And the critical part here that we're talking about is this government prepared to rig the election? Yeah. And the second thing you said was, what's the next step? And I said to you, the Revolutionary Vanguard Brigade to protect our votes is the most critical instance now in our democracy. The opposition must protect their votes. It's not about getting the votes. I saw you came on mine, you came on power, I will vote for you. I saw you know Bo, I will vote for you.
I will vote for you.
When our people are resolved, do not underestimate the resolve of the Liberian people. Now it is Joseph Boakai, you 900-year-old, you 100,000-year-old,
We
who will
agree.
vote for you. We want a president who will not buy houses, and Joseph Boakai will not. Yeah, and so when you start to look at that, then you go back to my previous point with Fagon, you say, are the Liberian people ready? We don't know they are ready until they get us out. And we saw it in 1980, we saw it in 85, we saw it in 90, we saw it in 92, 96. You want to name the wars, you name it. Our people do not come out on a consistent basis to tell you to stop. Someone else will even run behind you and tell you, say, you're close farm, but those are the people who are pointing to, oh, yeah, well, the boss man living, or you can sleep in a hall. You're not driving a red car or driving a yellow car. When you want to arrest you, will be to nuclear town. This is what Liberia is. Do not underestimate the resolve of the Liberian people. So, in closing, can you hear me, Stanton? In closing, the reality remains that Liberians will do what it takes to protect their democracy. We will support our democracy, we will stand for it, and we will die for it. So anyone who is thinking on the prospect to prosperity is cheating, beware, be very aware.
Dr. Francine, I think you'll take over.
I guess it was my turn to speak. I think everybody, and then Miape will speak, or you know,
It's the CEO.
He's actually off.
Oh, yeah. Now we're hearing sounds.
Yeah, over the past 6 years, you know, the Weah government has not really been accountable to the Liberian people, nor have they been transparent.
I'm sorry, Dr. Rich is saying, I was trying to connect. I know you guys say I wasn't hearing me. I went off because I'm trying to connect Malik. I just got him on, and he wanted to speak on this issue. His name appeared on the paper, so I just got him by way of phone. Good afternoon or good evening wherever you are, sir. How you doing?
I'm good. Senda, how yourself?
I'm doing very, very fine. Thank you very much. This is Malik. I'm trying to connect him because we saw information came up, and maybe Fagon can set this up if you want, or George Solo, you know them, and they will explain as the reason why we're calling you. Fagon, you are muted. You are muted.
In the report given by Wagner, I don't think he can argue his appointment as honorary consul. You have a copy of the letter. You have a copy of his passport. You have a copy of his card. And he's been linked to the Wagner group. He's a very close friend of Joa Howard Taylor. And it was reported that the Russians interfered with our elections in 2017. We are of the opinion, since they recommended him as honorary consul, given to the reports we now have read and know, that he should be able to comment on the issue.
Can you comment if you're hearing Fagon? Can you comment on the fact that your name appeared on the AP News saying that you have a relationship with the Wagner group from Russia and these guys are trying to destabilize the region? Is there any way you can help us understand, sir?
Well, first thing, Senator, I'm very disappointed in the fellow that is speaking out there by the name of Fagon, because you know, people, you need to do research before they make allegations. For a fact that because once it's accused, I did a one-page rebuttal that was posted on Facebook. I did get appointed by the Russian Federation as the honorary consul destined to the Republic of Liberia. What that has to do with Wagner? Wagner is a private military group. I have no connection with them. Know them from nowhere. I have not met them in any way. And number two, yes, I do have a relationship with the vice president. Of course, yes, I do. I do consultancy sometimes for her. I'm running my district number 1 as an independent candidate. So when people say that you are connected, do you have proof that I'm connected to Wagner? There's no proof. The only proof you have, yes, I am appointed as the honorary consul designate for the Federation of the Russian Federation, which I have. I mean, I'm amazed to have such appointment because I've done a lot of work in the diplomatic sphere for them in Ghana, in Liberia, and all over. When the present Justice Minister Frank Moussadi, who was also the former honorary consul of the Russian Federation, nobody had a problem. He resigned because he got appointed by the ruling establishment as the Justice Minister. And then the Russians found nobody else who filled that gap or that void. They recommended me. And even up to now, we're still waiting to have the consent letter sent to me or my ex-quarter given to me. So when people look, Liberia is for everybody. Let's stop taking hearsay or allegations. Let's get factual evidence and post it. Let somebody show me where I have done business with Wagner or I have gone to have any kind of relationship with them, which I have never had. Senator, that's the clarification I want to make.
Can we hold you right there for a minute? I did everything. Fagon, you were coming. I did everything possible to reach out to you because, for the record, we grew up behind MTA. So when I saw your name, I said it's important for us to clear this air on your record because you're running in Bon County. So let me bring in Fagon. Everybody will have one question each, please. We should be fair with this brother on the phone. Go ahead, Fagon. You go first.
First, let me lay the premise quickly, 30 seconds. Kemu said he was appointed by the Russian Federation as honorary consul. You and I know what happened in Ukraine recently with the Wagner leader, with the Russian leader, and how the Russian military have incorporated Wagner. So the government you represent as honorary consul respects Pigosa and Wagner. And you come to tell us that you have done a lot of diplomatic work for Russia, who has openly said Wagner worked for them. Pigosa, the leader, quite recently we saw it. And you're saying that you work for the Russian Federation that have endorsed and have hired Wagner, and Wagner is an army for them now. And you're saying you got nothing to do with Wagner. How does that make sense? But by the way, my question to you, you've done a lot of diplomatic work for them. In Ghana, you said, in Liberia, and in other countries. What sort of diplomatic work were they? Tell us.
So let's go ahead. Go ahead, sir. Amelie, you.
Yeah, I got that, Senator. At least now he came to the point of asking me a direct question. Till you prove the allegation level against me that I have a direct contact with Wagner, a fact concern, that is rubbish.
Yes, I can prove it.
Diplomatic relationship that I have helped in Ghana for the Russian Federation, it has a whole lot of sphere. Number one, I have recommended Ghanaian students, maybe 50 of them, to go to school to Russia. Some of them are now working on their masters and their PhD in engineering and everything. even in Liberia, I've given 10 scholarships through the Foreign Ministry of Russia as a personal relationship with the Federation. That I'm also making sure Liberians go for higher education. Those are the relationship, or those are the services I render from countries in Africa to the Russian federations. Those are the services I render. Okay? If someone is going through medical, for example, and you can't be able to meet your needs, and you're Liberian, you're living in Ghana, or I meet you in Nigeria, or Libya, for example, you think I'm going to turn my back to you as a Liberian? I can never do that. I'm a Liberian, so I make sure that I call upon my police. This person needs aid. Can you help me? And then do that. I've done a whole lot. When I even permit me to speak on a phone talk show here tonight, I picked the phone because I wanted some clarification. I'm actually basically at the airport, heading down to Nigeria.
Okay. Let me bring in Soto real quick. I know you gotta go. Let me bring in Soto real quick. Soto.
Yes, answer my question.
Yeah, Mr. Kemu, real quick. And I'm not on this show to question you. I'm on this show to buttress what you're saying. Now, this whole scenario about the Wagner, I believe, is a CDC concocted rumor just to downplay how this government have abused their people. And I know very clearly that if they try to cheat, there will be an uprising. So your name happened to have cassava leaf inside, so they brought your name. Because when I read your appointment letter, the statement was clear. It was educational. It was economic. The key word is economic. Now, Russia has economic interaction with other countries. And based on that, not military, economic. So to buttress that, just being a council of the Russian Confederation does not necessarily mean you are in cahoot with the Wagner Group.
No.
That is understood. I understand my brother Fagon point, however, because the position taken in other countries, it highlights the relevance of why are the Russians here and what are they doing. Now, let's
But he represents the Russians.
Yes, but not in their
And the
entirety.
Russians hire Wagner.
But not in their entirety. You can represent the Russians economically.
Let me bring folks that can ask quick question because he's at the airport. He got to travel.
No, I'm asking him one question, one critical question.
Go ahead.
One critical question I'm asking him. Can you confirm or deny that Russia, be it the Wagner Group or be it the business people that we have took millions from for the 2017 election, have their eyes on Liberia?
So, like I said, we're not only buddies, but we are brother, and you know that. Every time we in Liberia, we meet together. I would say this categorically and effectively clear. I have no idea the people that if President George Weah took money from Russians, if he did not take money from Russians, if the people are after him, if the people are not after him, I have no idea. All I do know, I represent the economic interests of the Russian Federation and also the diplomatic interests. So I deal strictly with the embassy in Ghana, which is on direct, and then to the foreign affairs, which is Sergei Lavrov. So on the level of Solo, you're saying that question I cannot answer because I have no idea. One thing I do know is that as an appointee, honorary council designate to Liberia, till my consent letter is signed, wherever I need to do to help Liberians, Ghanaians, Guineans to go as friends, I will do that. I will use my influence with them. But when it comes to the Wagner Group, I have no connection. I did a page rebuttal. When I think came out, I will send you a copy.
Yeah, send us a copy. Come on, that would be better. Send us a copy because this thing we have to speak on it clearly. Daniel Sano, real quick, and we'll go to our two sisters.
So I listened to Mr. Kemu. He talked about he's helping the Russian Federation to do a lot of diplomatic work across Africa. So I was thinking, of late, the Russian government has infiltrated parts of West Africa to destabilize democracy and instill military government. And as the Consulate General for the Russian Federation to these countries, could this effort be part of the diplomatic work that you do for them?
Categorically, no. And like I said, I don't make allegations that I have no proof of. You saying the Russian had destabilized or inattentive. Sino, you know me very well from maybe 2011.
And it's common knowledge.
On anybody before.
You gotta wait let he answer, Daniel, please. Go ahead, Kemo.
So I would say to you clearly, I have no idea of whether Russia is unseating this government or putting the government. My relationship with Russia is purely diplomatic and economic. If they have an interest in mining, for example, in Ghana, and there's an issue because I enjoy the relationship with the sitting government and the opposition, that, you know, I have a good relationship, I go there, I speak on their behalf and see how best we can handle it. So no way that I have any relationship with unseating or moving other regime in West Africa.
Thank you, Dr. Richardson. You want to throw yours real quick, then we'll go to Mepet to take
I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Richardson. Kou, can you, if you have a question, Kou? You are muted, sis.
Thank you. Good evening to Mr. Kamo. I just don't understand thank you, sir. I don't understand the Ghanaian and East African and Russian obsession with you. But you said that you gave 50 plus, you were able to help 50 plus Ghanaians go to Russia for school. And you recently were able to help 6 Liberians. Will we see you in the future upping that number of Liberians? Because I think we in dire need for help, even as compared to the Ghanaians.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the development of West Africa, Liberia, precisely. If I had my letter of consent, they would have given me 50 scholarships just for Liberia, 25 masters, 25 BSc. But because my consent hasn't been signed or endorsed by the Liberian government, so the Russian Federation gave me those scholarships personally. And that's what I'm using. So again, Madam Kou, God blesses me to be able to have my consent. I will even do more for the Liberians. That I promise you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kemo. I know.
Now we can't speak to, but have a safe travel, and we'll keep our eyes on you.
Yes, I know very well that once you get back home, you will appear on the Spoon Talk. My man, thank you, man. And we're talking about MTA.
You have my number.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
You have my number.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I didn't know we grew up behind MTA together. He just reminded me. Again, I want to say a beautiful show, guys. Your take. You are from him. Fagon, you go first.
Thank you. Good day. I enjoy the fact you try to help the brother, and maybe Stanton to try to help a neighbor. You know, let me say something. The letter is right here. All right. He has not gotten the letter of consent, Stanton. But what do you see in his passport? So we just here to be playing with the Liberian people. And in this letter, contrary to what you said, Georgie, this letter has nothing in there that talks about economic or anything. The letter number 275 is clear. The embassy of the Russian Federation in the Republic of Ghana presents its compliments to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Liberia and has the honor to inform that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation has endorsed the candidacy of His Excellency Mr. Mele Elvin Lucius Kemu to be appointed as honorary consul of the Russian Federation to the Republic of Liberia. In this regard, the embassy kindly requests the Liberian side to provide its official consent, as you heard him say, for the aforementioned designation. The embassy of the Russian Federation in the Republic of Ghana avails itself of the opportunity to renew to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Liberia the assurances of its highest consideration. So we are very clear. It had nothing to do with education whatsoever. Secondly, how did the government of Liberia issue this brother a diplomatic passport with the title in there as Honorary Consul General when he has not gotten his letter of consent? Thirdly, let's look at some facts and better facts here. You and I went to school just so the teacher then say, if A equals B and B equals C, then C is equal to what? Then here we are. If this man is Honorary Consul General appointed by the Russian Federation, and the Russian Federation has endorsed and accepted Wagner as its operational forces, how can he, the Honorary Consul General, say, I'm not part of it? If you're not part of it, my friend, resign. But if you are Honorary Consul General, and Picosa is the Russian new operational chief, and the Russian government have endorsed Wagner and is using Wagner as an operational group, then, my friend, despite the fact that you are a Liberian, you are a Russian diplomat. And he talked about Sergei Sergeyov. You and I know what he goes through at the United Nations as being his boss. How can you say, I'm a diplomat of the Russian government, but our government endorsed Wagner, but I ain't got nothing to do with Wagner? How can a whole government give you 50 scholarships personally? What are you doing for them? What are they getting in return? How can you be rooming and doing things for the Russian Federation in the sub-region, but Wagner have taken over Niger, Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, and you are confessing here to working diplomatically for them in Ghana, Nigeria, and the sub-region. So again, it's not about education, nothing mentioned. It's not about economic. It's just totally, this guy was appointed by the Russian Federation. And so whatever Russia does, whether with Ukraine or any other country, he cannot distance himself from it. And I submit to him, an individual will not get 50 scholarships from the Russians for nothing. There must be some contribution you are making. And because your assignment is tied to the sub-region, and Wagner has been involved with Guinea, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and other countries, you need to explain to us in a much deeper way.
He will be on the show, Fagon. He's coming. He will be on the show. He will appear on Spoon Talk. Dr. Richardson, you go ahead with Keep Solo for last. No, that popcorn. Dr. Richardson, go ahead.
I actually want to continue from the question that you asked us about the possibility of we as government rigging the election. I want to stick to that question. And I want to observe and know more about the speaker that was on the phone. I just don't want to make blanket allegation or any kind of connection to anything because I just don't know. I like to get some facts. We should put some facts in the chat room already. But I do think that there's a high probability that the U.S. government can rig the election. And the reason why I feel this way is because they have not been transparent and accountable to the Liberian people. And because I know what greed and power can do to people. When you're a politician or you're involved in government and you greed it and you have power, you have an air of telling people what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And so you taste luxury. Why would you want to give it up? And so, I think that because we've seen it accumulate a lot of wealth in the past couple of years, they came from places where they never had things they never had, they got them. And once somebody tastes wealth, it's hard to say, I'm going to voluntarily say, okay, let's go through the democratic process to relinquish the wealth that I have. That's the first thing I was going to say. I actually think that, going back to the conversation about Ellen, I think Ellen is a Liberian citizen that has the right to say recommend Mary Broad if she wants to. She has the right to even prefer Mr. Alexander Cummings over Mr. Buckeye for whatever reason. She, she worked with Mr. Buckeye, Vice President Buckeye. She knew his strengths, his weaknesses. They worked together. So she has the right to have her own preferences. So I don't, again, want to go be far-fetched and say, oh, she has, it's a conspiracy theory. She controlling the Liberian people. Yes, she's the former president. She has some, she has some air about her. But I think ultimately Liberian people will make the decision. I would encourage our Liberian people to go to war because we've seen it before. We know what it's like. 250,000 people died. A lot of people are displaced. It caused a lot of, pain and suffering for a lot of Liberians. So my preference would be let's use the ballot box. That should be our initial attack, our initial intervention. And if that it doesn't work, then we can think about other things that we can do. But I think the Liberian people should stand up and be steadfast in this election. They shouldn't go to sleep. Everybody should be aware and awake so that we can have a free, at least something close to a free and fair election. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, Cole.
Thank you, CEO, and good evening to our listeners. I know we went straight into the questions, and good evening to our listeners out there. Yes, on both issues, we look forward to your good old neighbor coming back on the show. And
is that how you're gonna put it, though? That's your best way to put it.
Oh yeah,
they may used to play my way.
I like identity politics. You know me, so
no, Stanton, I like how you can know people when it gets serious, then you draw back.
Yeah, so being a person that is American-centered, when I hear the Russians, it inspires fear and discomfort. And especially Russians that are doing serious work in Africa, and that some of their work have been leading to destabilization and undermining of democracy. But I will also agree. I listened to the gentleman. His role with the Russians seemed very vague. Nothing specific that he's doing. Clearly, except a guy who distributes scholarship from them. I don't know if they have any diplomatic ties to this country that they can offer the scholarship directly through the government system. But this guy is someone who they give scholarships to. And the Russians seem to have a lot of interest in him. And when we talk about the stabilization, we've come from a long time of civil conflict. We were very careful and keen about the relationships people like these have outside with countries that are not friendly when it comes to democracy. So we would like to see him. I understand where my big brother Eugene Fagon came from, comparing and analyzing. I myself who have evoked the Pythagorean theory, which it says a C square will say that if A square plus B square is equal to C square, why not minus B square from C square and get A square? If this man is associated with a group that has endorsed a group, then it's possible that he's linked with them. But we will keep our eyes on him. We'll keep our ears open. And I think President Weah should also keep his own eyes open. He's a good friend of Joel Howard Taylor, and he's associated with Russians. I think President Weah...
Joe, we are close. Lead that one. Finish your statement.
He needs to keep his eyes open more than we do, because with his strong relationship with the vice president and the role the Russians have played recently, I think it's more of the worry of His Excellency, our president. But let me go to the issue about the ability, or would the CDC rig the elections? I agree with Dr. Richardson and others who have spoken. Yes, why won't they? There are several reasons people want to maintain power. And why we attribute rigging elections to them is because when I say we, the JMB team is leading the polls. It's a fight, whether people hear it or not. So to win, you have to rig. At this point, the only way the CDC can win is by rigging. Why would they have interest in rigging? When people get to power at first, they want to acquire wealth. The next thing you get worried about is protecting the wealth. It's protecting yourself. So do they have a reason to want to protect themselves? Absolutely. Look at some of the state actors. Look at the national campaign chairman. Those people capable of doing those things? Absolutely. But what we can say is that we know we are on the forerunners in these elections with the collaboration of our brothers and sisters in the opposition, people in the ANC, people in the LPP, people in Lino. We are going to stand up and encourage our people to protect their votes. And there are several options we have to our disposal. We will not come and say everything on this show because it's a matter of strategy. But we are going to encourage our people to join arms with us and make sure that their voice is protected. Because we do know that several by-elections lost. It's a possibility that people will go after these elections. If not to just stay in power, but to protect themselves. They have a reason to fear. So we are going to work to ensure that our people are victorious. We keep our eyes open. We will use the media at our disposal. You see media horses getting close by now. This is what happens when people want to rig elections. They want their own media places that can announce results. So it's a series of things, that lead to that. And we have started to see the signs. But more so, we have had seditions tell us. Do you know how many friends in the CDC have had to say, we'll win 18 by hope or crook? They tell us. But we ourselves, we know the Liberian people are resolved. I like to say that there is no greater liberation. There's no greater liberator of the people than themselves. The people are resolved and they are going to help us protect their votes. Everything from raising money to staying up to ensuring that their votes are protected. Thank you.
Oh, who are supposed to be talking?
Let me go.
Okay, I'll take it over.
What?
And I like the whole approach about pointing the fingers and saying, oh, the Wagner group, oh, the Russians, oh, the this, oh, the that. It makes for an interesting conversation. The fact of the matter is, we Liberians will take this vote into our hands. We Liberians will protect this vote. We Liberians will make sure our democracy is sustained. Where that external support come from, where that eternal support come from, for me, it makes a great political conversation, but it's totally irrelevant. The present government is acting up to cheat. They're communicating their direction to cheat. I've sat with people, I will not get into names. All of their conversations were geared towards, how do you join us because we want to cheat? So whether it's Wagner Group, whether it's Liberians saying, don't try it, whether it's the opposition getting together and protecting their votes, the vote will be protected. The fact of the matter, what we can say factually is the government intend to cheat. And our conversation with them is, don't try it. Do not try it. It has nothing to do with Wagner. It has nothing to do with the United States of America. When you guys were stealing our resources, America and Wagner wasn't here. When you were abusing the Constitution.
Can I take you back a little bit, Josh?
Yes, please do.
It's important. When we're doing the Spoon Talk, a lot of folks call and maybe Daniel, you got to weigh in on this as well. The gentleman that just appeared by way of the phone, Malik, the passport we are showing is a Liberia diplomatic passport. I want everyone to pay attention to this. Am I correct here? Republic of Liberia diplomatic passport, right? And his assignment on this passport says Senior Advisor, Special Envoy, VP. Correct?
Yep.
And I believe it's Joe Howard Taylor, That's the only VP we have, and this is current. I just want us to understand that we are not making a mistake. Or look at the passport expiration date, February 6, 2020. So maybe it have already expired. But if he is carrying this passport currently, then my question is, how can he carry a Liberian passport and also serve as a representative for Russia?
That's what the Consul General entitlement means. It doesn't mean you're a citizen or resident. You simply represent the interest of that country wherever you are. So again, Stanton, my closing point was not to harden in on the appointment or the responsibility. Fagon hit it right on the head. You hit it on the head. Affiliation with the Russian Federation now raises suspicion. For me, I want to be very clear about that. Wagner Group is the less of my worry. Russians coming to Liberia is the rest of my worry because I know they are not favorable to the government. They will never be favorable to the government. So when Wagner comes to a location, it's not to help the government. So that is understood. The more critical question here is, why are we Liberians concerned about all of these impeding instances? It's because we psychologically, we feel insecure in our own democracy. When you feel insecure in your own democracy, Stanton, you are compelled to start looking at the outlining elements. So let's leave all of the outlining elements. What are the facts? Our government is corrupt. Our government have abused the Constitution. Our government does not stand for the people. And thereby, all of us Liberians are jittery. If somebody appointed you tomorrow, Stanton as the Consul General of Qatar, will ask why. If somebody appointed Mimi as the Consul General of any place, will ask why. And this is why we are elevating these questions. We are elevating our awareness. And anyone looking at this show can see that anyone on this show have an elevated sense of awareness that this government intends to cheat. I'm putting the second level to that. I've sat with people who communicated their intent to cheat. So it is clear that the government intends to cheat. So our awareness is never going to reduce. But a sense of awareness, I don't want for this panel and for Liberians to take a sense of awareness to transition into a sense of paranoia. We cannot be paranoid about our future. The fact is, our government have done blissful wrong. Our government have had blissful abuses of our laws and our constitution. Our government have been so corrupted that all of us Liberians are looking to say, where's John here for? Why is he wearing long sleeves? No, but the reality is, let's refocus on our government. And we Liberians have the capability. We have already started to tap into that capability to hold our government accountable. I don't care about the 10 million Consul Generals in Liberia.
And I know definitely if you are available tomorrow, you will join us again. This is what we do here. Whenever you're available, you can come and let's share this thing. As we get closer to election, we all need to help. And you visited Liberia, went to Grand Jide, you got stuck in the mud, your cell phone wasn't working. It was people were concerned about you while CDC were reaching out to you. Why you turned them down? Why you turned Sedition down? Why you turned Samuel Twer down? Why you turned those folks that you used to work with? They were your friends before, but today you said no to them. You would not support them.
Look, Stanton, a man has to live for something. And no sound individual will jump on a sinking ship. The reality is CDC have failed the Liberian people. All of the emblems and bells and whistles of the revolution is gone. You know, you talk about the names of the people that are representing CDC today. Eugene Nambwe. Eugene Nambwe is the individual who informed the government that we had arms at our headquarters. And on November 7th, we were attacked. And people were killed. You know, the president is holding the picture you just showed, holding a broom and saying, why are you sweeping? You know, the level of corruption, the level of nepotism and disregard for the rule of law is so excessive in Liberia that anyone, and I say anyone without disregard, who has the consciousness to affiliate with the Congress for Democratic Change means that you have a disdain and a dislike for the Liberian people. All of these guys you are talking about, I fought with them. I stood in a revolution with them. I led them. My conscience, my kids, my family, my friends, my integrity will not allow me now for $1 billion to go back to the Congress for Democratic
Will
Change.
you offer any amount to be
No,
part
Stanton, I
of?
will offer unlimited. All I had to do was go on radio and declare. And I had to get what I could get whatever I wanted. And I'm not saying this from
I'm
the.
asking this question because a lot of messages coming to me now. Can you tell Liberians, did you receive money from Summit Way or anybody in the government?
I did not. I had conversations with the Congress for Democratic Change, including Samuel Twe. And those conversations were very clear, and those conversations were very upfront. Now, I would say to all the political...
What was the conversation?
Recalibration. Can you come back? We need you. How do we reactivate the institution? How do you help us win an election? That's the only conversation. And my response is, as you have seen, if you have one instance of me going on radio and saying, I pledge for the Congress for Democratic Change, or I support the Congress for Democratic Change, and then I'm liable, but I did not.
Who do you support in this election? And the other question that we asked you. Now we turn you into a guest for the next 5 minutes. Who do you support in this election?
I support Joseph Yeman Boakai. I support the man who is not. I support the man who will not build houses. I support the man who will not wear Louis Vuitton. I support the man who will not misuse the wealth of the nation. I support a man who is going to put Liberia on the trajectory. I support other opposition candidates, separate of Joseph Boakai if he does not make it. Tawan Gonglo, Alexander Cummings. I support anyone separate. Joseph Boakai as my primary. Secondarily, I support the opposition. My goal is to make sure that the Republic of Liberia is on a trajectory that represents us.
You had a relationship with Ben Ayure. How's your relationship with him right now? And talk to Liberians about the change of attitude, change of game plan from Ben Ayure, from Tidi Ayure and Costa towards Joseph Yeman Boakai, the person you just announced that you support.
You know, Stanton, is a very quick question, but it's not something I have to delve into. You have relationships with people, you know people. Who I decide to support is my constitutional right. I've never found that space to explain myself. I've never required others to explain themselves. I can tell you today I support Joseph Yeman Boakai and Jeremiah Kuhn. And I can tell you today, the old adage of Grand Jide and Nima is gone. I met with my father, Prince Johnson. You guys might not know. When I was 3-4 years old, crawling as a kid, my dad used to take me to BTC. And I would crawl between General Johnson and my father and the rest of them. And today he calls me darling boy. I met with him. I met with my brother, Jeremiah Kuhn. I've met with my father, Joseph Yeman Boakai. The first appointment that Mr. Boakai got in 1980 from the PRC government was orchestrated by my father to LPMC. He is a godfather to me. I've met with those individuals. I've had conversations. And those conversations enlighten me to the point where it's not about me. It's about our nation. So, you know, people can spin this all around. You cannot go to Grand Jide without going through Nima. You cannot go to Grand Jide without traveling through Nima. You cannot sit down and say the people of the Crown tribe and the people of Nima tribe are not one. And if you doubt that, you will see that in this election. And I tell you today, nothing will stop that train. That train is not a train for Joseph Boakai. That train is a train for us. He is a mere instrument doing the best he can for our generation who have misused our rights, who have abused our rights to where Liberia should be.
My last question to you, then the others can comment. We'll go to Dr. Richard Sain, Daniel Sando, Mepa Gono, and Gibson. Thank you for joining us. My last question, 2 in 1. When you went to Liberia, you had the intent to run for one of the seats in Grand Jide. My second question to you, Can Joseph Yema Boakai win Grand Jide?
I'll answer your first question. I went. I engaged in the process of running for the senatorial seat. I sat with Mr. Johnson. I sat with Mr. Kuhn. I sat with Mr. Boyka. And it was relayed to me and accepted by me that my presence leading the Revolutionary Vanguard Brigade to protect the vote of our homeland, to protect our fathers, to stand up and be the face of the Don't Try It movement, to stand up and secure and protect the opposition vote was more important than becoming a senator. As I come to that ideology, I immediately dropped my personal ambition and I said, Liberia is bigger than me. I will serve this train. I will sit on this train. I will support this train. I will advocate for this train, and I will defend this train with my blood, and thereby relieving that. Secondly, can George Weah win Grand Jide County? The answer is no. I gave you several instances. The removal of the son of one of our permanent sons, Samuel Doe, from the Freeport when he was given job by the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government. The disregard of our elders. Just like Nimba County, the misrepresentation of our county in government after we gave a highest percentage of loyalty in the Republic of Liberia. In all of my visits, in the mud, in the sun, in the trees, in the forest, the Crown people are resolved. George Weah is not welcome in Grand Jide County. George Weah has no merit in Grand Jide County. And I defy anyone from the Crown tribe who reiterate that George Weah owns Grand Jide County. It is not possible today as we speak. It will not be possible tomorrow because we have permanent Grand Jideans to include Peter Solo, to include George Boley, and Alex Grant and others who are working tirelessly on a day-by-day basis. And I say to you, Grand Jide County, even those that are angry with Joseph Boakai, because of Liberty Party, because of Taiwan Gonglo, because of the others, they will not navigate to George Weah. We, the Crown people, have so many options. We have so many family members in this race. Joseph Boakai, Taiwan Gonglo, Yombli Konga, Jeremiah Kuhn. We have so much relationship and admiration for the line of people that I think when we look at our voting sheet, George Weah is at the bottom of it. The houses that George Weah built in Grand Jide County is in my town, in Pelezon. That's where he built them. And if you go today, the people are worried to sleep in them because we believe he put something inside. That's how much we distrust him. So if anyone want to disrespect the Crown people that George Weah control Grand Jide, I will caution you because this anger us. We are not idiots. We are not goats.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Richardson, come in. You can ask a question or you do your closing. This is huge, and we hope to have you back. I know we're going to talk after the show, so you must come back. Go ahead, Dr. Richardson.
I have a comment to make and, followed by my closing. Yes, Mr. Solo, I do respect your right to, choose anyone you want to choose to support as for president. I think that's a right that all Liberians have. But when you said that your dad orchestrated Joseph Boakai's job at LPMC, it reminded me of something that Mr. Molu said here when he was here. He said that a lot of Liberians are in misfit positions. They don't have the qualification to be in the positions that they're in. So when you said that, that's kind of jogged my memory.
No. Point of clarification. He was competent.
Okay.
He was competent. He has been competent. He did a very good job. When I say orchestrated, it's in terms of recommendation.
Oh, okay.
And recommendation has nothing to do with nepotism. So, if you were sitting out and we were looking for a minister of information, and I say, Dr. Francine Richardson is competent. I know her. I know her character. I will get an audience where you can have a conversation with her and validate that. I'm sorry for the language, but the orchestration, in a sense, is just reference.
Thank you for that clarification, because that's what just came to my mind. That conversation that I have with Mr. Malu. But I'll do my closing, and my closing is, definitely about Liberians choosing a leader that can create a more deserving country for Liberia. I don't believe that Liberia is at a place where we can select a leader based on popularity, based on tribalism, based on likability. We are not there yet, and simply because of the level of literacy in our country, we don't have the information dissemination like in other developed countries. So I think that we should select someone who can build our infrastructure, can bring water, electricity, roads. Those are the simple things. We should elect someone that can create a way that we can improve our agriculture sector. Someone who can create jobs for people. Someone who can make our healthcare and education system a better place, and also tell us that I know how to do this. I'm going to be aggressive with corruption. I'm going to strengthen PPC laws and lack. And I'm also going to stop the wasteful spending. There's no reason why people in the legislature should be riding, $20,000 or $30,000 cars or whatever. This is us. We should be taking austerity measures. And I find that no other person besides Mr. Alexander Cummings can do that. And if anybody wants to ask me, there's a reason why I say that he has not been involved in any other type of government. He's ran almost $1 billion budget before. He has understanding of legal and commercial ruling. The other candidates, I like Tiawan Gonglo, and I also, like Dr. Moluba as well. I cannot really vouch for Mr. Boka because, I think I've told this panel here that I've been doing a lot of work, and it's interesting you mentioned LPRC. There's a lot of interesting reports that the United States did about LPMC because they really wanted to eradicate LPMC, which eventually they did. They found that it was worthless, and they actually came out with LARAC or whatever, which is also another not helpful agency. So again, I think that everyone, Liberians are the ultimate decisions. I don't think there's anybody who can make the decisions for us. I think we should stand tall. I don't believe that Ellen has power and control over Liberian people anymore, except we give it to her. And I think the Liberian people are strong enough not to do that. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Richardson. Daniel, you want to jump in?
Certainly. There's no time more appropriate to come in when Dr. Richardson just tried to throw dirt on our candidate. I have consistently maintained that there's no need of us attacking each other in opposition because we have a common objective, and our objective is to unseat the George Weah-led government, because from all indication, they've not performed in keeping with our expectations of country, did not live up to their campaign promises. And so if you have the point to make, you shouldn't be concerned that on this platform where we sit every day, people of good reputation come here to endorse Joseph Yuma Boyka. I've not seen any such thing for Mr. Cummings, who suggests that he's been alienated and ostracized by the voters. So, but again, I can understand the only way the name Cummings can resonate is through showing these tantrums on Ambassador Boyka. But again, when you are the biggest in the room, you have to play the proverbial ostrich. So we're not going to be doing attack for attack here because we know it's a waste of our time. We have an election to win, and this election is Joseph Boyka to win, and that's why we are grateful. Let me seize a moment to welcome to the rescue chain Mr. George Solo. I know him to be a very fearless intellectual. I followed him when he served as chairperson of the CDC. I know how he made life difficult for the Director of Police and the Ministry of Justice. And so having him on board, leading the brigade that will mend the Liberian people vote, I think it's a step in the right direction. We'd like to welcome him. But I'd like to conclude with Mr. Kemung. And And I listened to Mr. Kemo when he said that he is the consulate general of the Russia Federation to Liberia and other countries in Africa. Now, normally, an ambassador or a consulate general is the senior representative of a government, and at that level, you represent the interests of that government at all levels in the countries to which you are assigned. So the image Russia now is like a rogue state in the context of Africa, because we see some of the things they're doing. I said when he was speaking, I tried to interfere to say it is common knowledge of some of the things they're doing. You know, if you are an ambassador of the Russian Federation to Liberia, Ghana, Guinea, Ivory Coast, and there's basically the Russian government is involved in the destabilization of democratically led government, and they're not hiding their hands. All of the coups are being carried out across these countries. You see the Russian flag is being flown high. And as I mentioned earlier, the most recent situation in Niger, the Wagner Group issued a statement offering military assistance to the plotters of the coup, because the African leader had threatened military intervention. So they're not hiding it. You see what happened in Mali. It was replicated in Burkina Faso. Today is Niger. So we're concerned about what is happening on the continent, because it could have, from a geopolitical perspective, Liberia is vulnerable. Some of the countries have been infiltrated by the Wagner Group, where they now have puppet military regime that are loyal to Russia, have better military and security installation than Liberia. Okay, we do not even have a headquarters for our army. He's talking about a country like Burkina Faso, very heavy military force. Okay, Mali, for example. So if they could penetrate these countries, undermine democracy, overthrow legitimate government, install puppet military regime that are loyal to Russia, so there's no reason for him to come to try to paint, a positive picture of a rogue image that we already know. So I don't think his call to Spoon did any good for him tonight. If Mr. Kemo is truly a Liberian citizen, if he owes loyalty to Liberia, he should be concerned about the issues that we talk about, because before becoming consulate general for the Russian Federation, he's a Liberian citizen. And if what Russia is doing across Africa is anything to judge, what will happen tomorrow, he should be concerned about Liberia's stability. Talking about he's involved with doing a lot of diplomatic work for Russia. What are some of the things Russia is best known for on the continent? It's to undermine democracy. So that's why we are concerned. It is nothing to kind of go into a closet to say he's this person, that person, but we're concerned because his name keep coming back to us. Mary Kemu is a point man for the Russian, and good thing he didn't deny it. He confirmed that he's the consulate general for the Russian Federation to Liberia. So that's why we're concerned. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you for yet another opportunity. We look forward to always being here on Spoon. We look forward to also having the radio station open. Every day we encounter concerned citizens who want to know how far we are with the reopening of the radio station.
Let me say that real quick. Let me say that you are quite correct. And Fagon, everybody, folks calling us about the opening of the radio station. If this is not intervention of the government, then what it is? I've been told to stay put by the CEO, Madam Titi Kane. You guys been hearing me saying this over and over. I must respect her decision. But again, it's a lot to be said. They asked for bond. The network received the bond. Send the bond over. The lawyer did a writ of prohibition.
Stanton, speak honestly. It's political. I sat with the Minister of Finance and Development Planning 2 weeks before you were closed, and he told me he was going to close Spoon FM. Say George Solo say. I told him if you do that, there will be repercussions, because we lived through this in the 80s, we lived through this in the 90s. Don't say somebody said. Say George Solo say. I'm just lifting my hand as a witness.
Solo, I have a very serious conversation today And they will be at the courthouse on Monday. The lawyers, they went to the Supreme Court. The justice in chamber sent it back to the lower court. The judge in the lower court is Peabody, well respected. I have no beef with him, and he's doing everything that the law should remain the law. It may not be the general, when we say government, but elements within the government feel into this. So I got to get, listen, it's time to just talk this thing. We know who is Samuel Twer, and we know who is this guy called Wilmer Smith. We know their relationship. But the law should always be the law. The Liberian people want the radio station open. The Liberian people reaching out and saying, we want the radio station open. And everybody in and all of Liberia want the radio station open. Today, that which was sent from the Supreme Court was taken to Councilor Peabody, George Peabody Court, and they said an assignment that it will be heard on Monday. The law got to be the law. They asked for bond. Madam Titi and the network provided the bond. The bond was challenged. The discrepancy thereof by Arthur Johnson, who represented Wilmer Smith, did a writ of prohibition and went to the Supreme Court. The justice in chamber sent it back down, step by step, bit by bit. Say what you want to say. I know Samuel Twer behind this thing. Everybody know.
I don't want to say nothing, Stendo. I'm not coaching you anything. I'm being factual with the Liberian people. We have a sense of responsibility. There are three things that were said to me. One, the CDC will win by 58% in the first round. Don't bother. We'll do whatever we need to take it. Two, the former Chief Justice, Gloria Musu-Scott, will be jailed. The third thing, that the Spoon Network will be closed. And this was said to me 2 weeks before any of them happened. And so I'm not judging on the law. I'm not judging on the support.
So what you heard, you know, man, we full of information. We heard the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
But again, I will always say, and Daniel Sano called me every day, a lot of Liberians calling, representatives, senators calling, and they want the network open. But again, next week, Monday, it will be heard. We have to listen to those legal representatives. We have to respect the rules of law. But at some point, the people get tired.
I'm tired already. So I'm just saying to you, we stand ready for our rights.
It will be 3 weeks. It will be 3 weeks tomorrow. It will be 3 weeks tomorrow. Dr. Johnson said, well, they didn't send it to me. I didn't receive it. And everything, people playing these slow games. They won't walk slowly to the election. After the election, they say, okay, we got nothing on Spoon Network. Make no mistake. Folks are ready, but I told them, say, no. The law will be the law. We will wait Monday, and they will hear the bond. They will go into the courtroom of George Peabody. And on Monday, they will come up with a decision. Thereafter, we need to inform our people. If George Manuel Weah, the president of the Republic of Liberia, step into this thing and make it political, we need to inform our Liberian people. If Samuel Twer using his finance ministry money to make this political, we need to tell the Liberian people. And I reached to a place, I had a long conversation today with the lawyers and Madam Titi. Reached to a place that I'm tired. Liberian people are tired. Stop slow walking us. This is not a game. We have rules of law. We have constitution. Senators reaching out to me, and I'm telling them just what I'm telling you guys tonight. We will wait till Monday, and the Liberian people will hear from the network. So Daniel Sano, I said, thank you for your concern. Every day people beating on you. They don't want this network to be heard in Grand Jide. They don't want this network to be heard in Nimba, in Grand Bassa, in Grand Cru, in Sano, in Riverside, in Bombing. But trust me, they are mistaken, and we will be law abiding, and the law will be the law. Trust me, we will. Let's go to our sister Kawu. Yes,
I
Mama.
wanted to
Let's
say
go to
something.
Kawu.
Santa,
Yes.
can I just say something? It's unfortunate that Daniel left. You know, when I speak about his candidate, he always thinks I'm attacking, and I'm not. I'm just basically, you know, providing some facts about, and it's my thoughts, it's my rights. You know, I started my conversation by saying I appreciate George Solo's preference. You know, he has the right as every Liberian citizen to select a candidate. So, you know, for him to come and say that I'm attacking his candidate when I didn't even use any, I don't know what attack means, but I just wanted to point that out to him. I'm not attacking his candidate. I'm just basically saying what I know about the candidate. But
I think, Doc, the critical part is we say it often, but we have to now manifest it. The common opposition respect should be sustained. And I tell you today, you know, if not for the sense of direction and sense of where everyone is going, every candidate in the opposition is my favorite candidate. Every person in the opposition is my favorite person with competence and skill set to change Liberia.
Let's run, Judge. With all of time is 7:16. Let's bring in Kawu. Then we go ahead to get to Gibson Jeru. If you want to chip in, we'll keep you for last. Solo. Memper, go ahead, and we'll bring in our brother Gibson.
Yes, just to touch on what Dr. Richardson said, before I get there, let me start with the Cameroon situation. Like we spoke, and we are all concerned about this strange man or this man's strange relationship with the Russians. I think the government himself should investigate it. He's affiliated with an organization, you know, that has destabilized many countries in Africa. And he has a very close and affection with the current vice president, Her Excellency Joel Howard Taylor. I think the president should dive closely into his involvement in the region. Then go to where my sister, Dr. Richardson, talk about. You know, Dr. Richardson, you said the man went to LPMC. The place was later, you know, scrapped just because it was removed. Or people think that there should be government should be reduced in size. It doesn't have anything to do with his performance or who he is. If you look at our cabinet, 3 ministries are considered Chion cabinet positions: the Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of Postal and Telecommunications, the Ministry of Transport. That doesn't mean because Councillor Tiewon Konglo headed Labor, it means he's a junior minister or he's not at the level of other people who were in senior cabinet positions. That where he was sent at the will and pleasure of the president, but he could perform in other areas. Or that doesn't mean Dr. Fred Noke, who was at Postal and Telecommunication, is inefficient or was inefficient or less competent. That's where he was sent as the political appointees work at the will and pleasure of the president. So, Honorable Joseph Iman Boyka, that some of the time he served his country's stellar record, continues to do so. And then I would like to, Anna Solo went off in. Welcome again on board the train, join my voice to Daniel Sano and give a revolutionary welcome to the militant big brother and senior revolutionary George Solo. It's good to have him on the train. We've talked a lot behind the scenes, and you know, I'm happy that he finally came true to our conversations. And I can tell you that to know Solo is to fear him. And the people within the CDC know him. The likes of Eugene Angwe, the likes of Kochi, the likes of the Samuel Twe, they know their former tough talking chairman. They know what he's capable of. And I hear him talking about the guy is so good at forming brigade. He had a Sabu unit. Now he said he got a protecting the 4th brigade. I know they will be worried about that, but I mean, he's energetic. He has an unmatched, you know, energy. He comes to the train with a lot of push. And I'm telling you, we are happy to have him on board. And he said something. He talked about Samuel Doe Jr. being taken out of government as he was brought in by Madame Salif. But that's what I said yesterday. You were not on the show, CEO. I was trying to tell Gibson why it's true that if we are in the second round or the runoffs, people are going to gravitate to us because the CDC has no inclusion credentials. They don't want to include people in government. How can you have this guy, the UP, giving a little job at the Freeport? His father was a former president in our country. He's competent, and you just remove him. I personally didn't like the fact that he was working at the Freeport. I don't know how he did it, and coming to know what happened at the Freeport. But I mean, he chose to work there. At least include him, even if he did not support you. But and this is the reason why nothing is going to stop the mass migration of people towards the train if there is a second round. So I would just want to continue to tell people that join us. It is not late. Solo just endorsed the train. He's been with us. He's been talking to us, but he's telling the Liberian people tonight. That is a big news to have the tough talking former chair of the CDC on board the train. That's why we talk about how inclusive this train is. It doesn't matter whether you're from the UP, you're from the LP, and wherever place you're from. Whether you're from Lofa, whether you're from Bomi, the train is open to everyone. We have credibility when it comes to including people. We want to work with all Liberians. We want to rescue our country. Many Liberians, you talk to the CEO, they're worried about the rigging of these elections. I thank you for this platform and the work we do here, informing our people that we will be vigilant and that we will do everything possible in our, humanly possible to make sure those folks are protected. And I know that if the will of the Liberian people is undermined, there will be consequences. So this is why we're doing everything necessary to make sure that we protect the rights of our people. And I would like to tell all of my brothers and sisters in the opposition, we're open to working with you. If we don't catch this thing in the first round, come and join us. You are part of the opposition. There is still room for you. If it weren't so, I wouldn't be telling
I
you.
knew you were going to add that part in. House having mentions.
Yes. And welcome on board. I kept saying later. Give you 1 minute, let you go. What much you gotta say today? Give you
No, this time I'm not going to joke between you and Gibson because Gibson said that last night his wife almost threw him out. I ain't gonna joke that.
The men's of family, man. Don't joke.
Gibson said my wife almost threw me out. So Gibson, I apologize openly. I'm not going to get involved.
Yeah, please.
Between you and Cole relationship, I will let that one be.
It's my in-law. Please don't.
Go ahead, Gibson.
Because I welcome your joking time.
Thank you.
Look, I wanted George Soto to come back. Hey, George Soto, somewhere, let him come back. I want to talk to him in the face. I really want to talk to him.
You closing or you want to talk to Solo out of frustration?
Yeah, I got my 2 questions and comment to make.
Man want Solo to come back. Let me call Solo.
Yeah.
No, Solo will listen.
If Solo not coming back, that's fine. He will watch it later.
All right.
I respect Solo for his valor. He's a brave man.
Yeah.
But I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed that he, having heard the racist Jeremiah Cone making a bigot comment and a racist and a troublous comment about Grandidians, and he will still support. You know, this election.
You want to be trouble? Because he crying, he shouldn't support.
This election, it exposes a lot of people. I didn't know that Jeremiah Cone was a troublist.
That's not true.
Okay.
Then we'll have to extend this show.
When you were speaking, nobody said
you have to give the man chance, Cole, please.
Let's tie your bell and sit down. Let me make my 2 minutes comment.
Yeah, only 2 minutes.
Can
So
you
I gotta go.
Joy Solo from Grand Jeddah supporting the JMB, right? Joy Bullet supporting JMB. Chelsea Grant supporting JFB. How is it important in this time of this election for Jeremiah Kun to talk about 500 Nimbayans were brought from Nimba and sold in Basel? This is the most irresponsible comment I've ever heard from someone who wants to be a vice president of our country. Very irresponsible and very tribalistic. These are the people that when they get in the chair, they're going to run beyond other tribes. This is war that fought. Everybody is forgetting about the war. How did Jeremiah think that making that kind of irresponsible comment will bring any amount of votes for him or will win any accolades? So, pull a Joyce Solo to support a team like that, I'm so surprised. Okay, I'm so surprised. Look, stand on. I like this radio station. I like the platform because this platform has been able to show a lot of people how. And
by the way, I will interrupt you. Joyce Soto will be appearing 3 times a week, so you will make your case.
I want to interface with him. I want to interface. I disagree with Joyce Solo in the past because of the kind of way he was speaking, using vocal languages. I disagree, but today he spoke very, very responsibly, and that's the kind of person I would see from Grand Jide to speak to the people across the world. But so let me come to the Kemu thing. How can we speak from the two sides of our mouth? We're talking about democracy, then we say Kemu should not exercise his rights. How? How can we talk on two sides of our mouth? The United States that you want to protect, they got embassy in Russia, get embassy in America. They got more than 200 Russians in America as mission officials. Then one Kemu who said he is a representative of the Russian in Liberia, then we say the government will investigate him. What is a democracy? Where is the freedom of association? What is the freedom of job, of work? So we are talking from two sides of our mouth. We need to stop this kind of thing. I will be with Kemu from day one. I don't know him, but I will support Kemu's effort to work with the Russians because he is not committing a crime by working for the Russians. I don't care about what. Samuel Doe made a mistake in the 1980s, 1981. He expelled the Russian embassy and Russian official. Why? Because Larry Toba, Deacon Kala, Commander Wisse, Ezekiel Pajibo, this other guy, Tom Gogler, and others, they had just come from Czechoslovakia and they were trained as a propagandist, and they were having a video show at the Russian embassy. When they heard it, the Russians are trying to undermine U.S. democracy, and they expelled them. That mistake, though, did not recover from it. And that's the same mistake we are going to make. Is that how JMB going to rule? By stopping people to exercise their freedom to associate with any country in the world they want to? America got 200 Russians right now in New York. Then you stopping one Kemu in Liberia not to be a representative of Liberia, or Russia? No, I don't see it like that. I see it like Kemu is innovative. I see it like Kemu is exercising his right, his democratic right to associate and do. That's how the Constitution says. So that encouraged Kemu. Maybe that will bring realization to America and say, I think Russia is planting their tentacles in Liberia again. Maybe I will need to do more for Liberia. And then maybe America will do more. I'm here in America, I'm saying it. And that's the truth. So I don't see it as a crime. Russia going to this place, Ukraine, I am against it. And I want Russia to be killed out of there and driven out of there. But to exercise a diplomatic mission rights in Liberia, it is not a crime, and we should not put the life of Kemu in danger by telling the government to investigate them. It is the way we are going to be dictatorial, and we are making our government to be a tyrant. Let's stop that. This platform is not going to encourage tyrannism or dictatorial or draconian action against citizens just because they exercise their right. Kemu did not steal money. He didn't kill anybody by being a Russian diplomat. He didn't do anything. He didn't write any propaganda against the government. Or he represented a Russian interest. You want to go travel to Russia to go to school? You go ahead. I took a test to go to Russia those days, even though they removed my name. After we passed 20 of us, they were processing for to go to Russia. I go to my name and 2 other person's name got disappeared from there. So all my own package they gave me everything with me. They wanted to spend 5 years in Russia. They came back with master degree. And people are in Liberia today who got master degree that benefited from Russian education. And now we're coming up because they are fighting Ukraine or they are coming in, so we say Kemu must die tomorrow morning. Kemu cannot die. I will Kemu. And Kemu will not die. Kemu will
can I make a quick interjection?
Money, I will ask for work. I will beg us who can send money to Kemu to have his office in Liberia.
But nobody saying Kemu must die. Man, you get plenty of money. What are you
talking
about?
The government should invest.
Yeah, you have plenty of money, oh. Just a 1 minute
investigate him. The government should investigate him for being a consul general for Russia. This should be the last thing that we should say. We are making this government to be dictatorial. The government can go after him. When they go after him and do something bad to him, then we'll come back and say, no, you're not supposed to do that. I mean, right. We should give the government the urge to go after a citizen for non-criminal offense. That's what I'm trying to say. If somebody did something, it's not criminal, it's democratic, don't tell the government, say investigate them, because they can take a mile while you give them an inch.
Let me make a 30-minute session, because
30 minutes, 30 seconds.
30 seconds,
I come back. I can give you 10 seconds on my time. Because
your time is finished. Your time is finished. And Gibson, your time is finished. When you don't have time, you have 5 minutes left. You don't have to come on the show because you want to be on the show. But thank you. We heard your point. You and your wife can raise money and open office. Kemu, that's up to you. But I want you to know Kemu have had his own problems.
So the issue is not about raising money. What I'm trying to say
let me use I got your point.
We should support people who exercise their rights. It's not about the money.
I got your
point. It's well done, so
I got your point. So listen to my 30 seconds.
Okay, you take on my time.
No, your time is finished, man. 30 seconds. Let me tell you something. Gibson. Kemu, I want you to know where we're coming from. Kemu has had his own problems with this United States of America. So going to Liberia and being very close to Russian groups that have destabilized countries like Niger is worth looking into. He could not specifically tell us what his role with these Russians were. His description was very abstract, very vague. We cannot lay our hands on it. We know he's not at a good place with the Americans. That is for a fact. We know that with the Russian, it's not just the Russian central government. There are other organizations attached to the Russians. So we just want to know more about him. That's a very close relationship with the current
journalists to investigate him, not the government.
Listen.
Tell the journalists to go investigate him. The government to go after him. They can go a mile. They can go 1 yard. And then they will go out.
I am speaking, Gibson. This is not a dialogue. I know this is a moment, but listen. I will say the government should look inside. That's why the choice of words I choose to. This government are sitting on look there because he's explaining different things. Other people are saying different things. It's worth looking into. In this country, yeah, if you get strange,
that's the example of how
people will look into it. But let me tell you more so, I'm even worried about the Congo government because when you come here and say George Solo crying, so he shouldn't support Kun. I mean, you just exposed where you came from. Yesterday, you tried to
let
me learn, man. Yesterday, you tried to talk about George Lobo. You called a man George Boley. I'm just getting to know your mindset, how ethnic driven your mindset is. You call George Lobo George Boley. Look at how your mind is working. You come here, you lament the government. Oh, that they mistake what president told me. You shouldn't have listened to the Russian because of the Americans. At the end of the day, the Americans were not there for him. I am sorry about his demise going at those days, but this is not the reason why you should say that Solo is a young man. He's revolutionary in ideas. His brother was former superintendent of Grand Jida. He was there. His father was at the helm of leadership in the Dole government, but he has put that behind him. We always talk about how close the people of Nima and Grand Jida are authentically when I speak to Solo. So Solo is not looking there. He sees Kun as his brother. and we are working together. Not because if Kunse people were in the Lutheran church, something happened there, it happened there, he can say it. Because they took people, what are they carried in the ocean, people, children were taken, where they land their air, but those soldiers, Charles Judo and other people that went there, where they land their air is up to it. These issues are so sensitive when we talk about loss of life. I don't want to reduce it to our platform. So you don't come here, and for you to make the comment tonight, and I want to say maybe the politics you're preaching, that one may have to win well in Granchi there. When you go there, you say, oh, you know, we're gonna bring the war crime court because we have to go after the people who went after those people. Because if you come here and say you're disappointed in Solo, not because JNP did not perform 40 years in government. Not because
Say,
let
when I
me
started
let
this,
me
I'm
hear,
telling
no, the viewers.
Hey, but you're taking my whole time. I got only 2 minutes. You're taking all
Yeah,
my
but we
time.
gotta go. You said 30
Yeah,
seconds. 30
you're taking my
seconds
I'm
time.
not
pass.
saying that Richardson can hear, she tell us
30
she
seconds pass. Go.
Yeah, please. Let me
because
take
she
my time
found
back.
what
When you come
record
tomorrow,
on
you can
what we have
expound
done.
more.
Go with
That
30
Let me take my
seconds
time
pass.
back.
does not find record on what we
Let me
have
take
done.
my time
For your
back.
30
Tomorrow,
seconds
you got
pass.
no time.
reason you can't hear and say
Go.
because
Gibson
you
said
is
I'm on
from
YouTube.
Lima,
Gibson said I'm on YouTube. 30 seconds pass. Gibson,
Yeah,
go
30
ahead.
seconds pass.
this
Gibson,
gives
go
me
ahead.
the condition of anybody who will be
I
this
don't want to be
trapper.
talking together, man.
Yes,
Gibson,
you were
30
talking.
seconds is
Gibson,
more.
it
Let me
half
finish
a
my
minute.
comment.
It
You
half
can
a
come
minute,
back.
Jess.
That's the matter. You
When
don't
we're
have to waste
talking,
time.
Go, we gotta go. Go
that
is
is
okay.
capitalistic.
Go
That
is okay. Gibson, go ahead. Go is
Okay,
okay, man.
thank you very much.
Let,
I don't
let,
know
let
what part
Gibson
of the
speak.
universe. I don't know what part of the universe Cole and her
I
likes
can't
are
get
living,
between you.
but
That's
the
your
universe
business.
I live on, it's called ICE, and the country I come from is called Liberia. The world are
and the
fucking
country
Liberia.
is called
Everybody were affected during the election time. I don't see how bringing about 500 people coming from Nima and being sold in Buchanan. How does it help Jeremiah Kun politics? Why is he trying to prove? What is the politics in that? This is irresponsible and tribalistic. That's what I'm saying. And I will stay by that because I have a duty to speak to lies that people tell against me.
But you were not sitting here and put a lie on this platform.
Please, when you're talking about
Let the man finish. Mepet.
you know what other people view,
Let the brother speak. I beg you. Let the brother speak.
Other people talking, not able to take their view, even though you're talking, all they can talk. I don't like them, but I with them.
But Dr. Richardson said we will
Okay.
leave
And secondly, let me disabuse your mind. Let me disabuse your mind and all Nimbayans. Councilor Gonglo is not calling for a war crime for Prince Johnson. George Bullet is a warlord, he's a Nigerian, and so a war crime
We talked nothing yesterday.
There's so many people who are warlords. There are so many people who are warlords. So when you carry the politics in Nima that Councilor Gonglo is trying to bring war crime against Prince Johnson. That's not. They're not only Nima people that fought the war. There are so many people who fought the war. We got people like Mosquito that still walking around. We got.
Guys, we want to say thank you, Gibson. Gibson, the time of the show is 4. Listen, Gibson, I beg you, I don't know which part of America you're at.
No. She is talking about. She is making.
Gibson, the time of the show, Brother Jero, let's say this. The show starts at 4 p.m. every day, Monday through Saturday. Please try to be here on time that we can have a wonderful conversation. And George Soto will be appearing 3 times a week. He's going to talk about how you can protect your vote. It is important how you can protect your vote. George Lobo will be talking about how you can protect your vote. Again, folks, on Monday we'll give you update on the Spoon Network. As you also announced that there's a big program. Some people from Lofa, the Lofa people in Maryland, the Kisi people in Maryland. Jose Yima Bwaka will be attending the program this coming Saturday. Tomorrow we'll share the flyer with you in Maryland. They are inviting everyone. That program will be this coming Saturday, the 5th. Jose Yima Bwaka will be in Maryland. Where part of Maryland will get already. We're giving you the date already, the time. He will be in Maryland. He would be there to have a big program. I heard Fagon will be there as well, and the rest of the team. They are going to speak Kisi to the Kisi people. They are going to meet the people of Lofa. They're going to gown him. They're going to give him cola, and they're going to have a big program this coming Saturday. We'll give you more information once they send it to us tomorrow. Again, I want to say, please, I heard also after that program, Jose Yima Boaka will be heading to Liberia. He will be returning to the country to begin the work. It is very, very important. It's meeting in the United States. You got to understand, from New Jersey to Rhode Island to Minnesota, Minnesota back to Jersey, Jersey to Maryland, Maryland back to New Jersey, New Jersey to Liberia. So again, if you want to meet Jose Yima Boaka, trust. I heard it's credit. A lot of folks going there, meeting him. Today, yesterday, I said, no, I will stay home because you want to go and stay online and wait. And, you know, people eating, people meeting these guys. Then I heard also, I got a picture that I heard that he met John Malou yesterday. John Malou drove.
A very neutral stand.
John Malou drove. I say everything. Yeah, they shouldn't tell me. They tell me I would say. John.
Don't let me go. I see how they
gotta say this one quick.
Good night.
John Malou drove and met him, and they had a very serious conversation. And again, I want to say, man, listen, Liberia is all what we have. We'll be patient. We'll do that which is right. Gibson, thank you. Gibson, what's your Bob Prince Maxwell? I've not seen 2 days now. I'm not hearing you, Gibson.
I think they're trying to change it again. Maybe.
No, they can't change it. I like Prince. Seriously. I don't know what Lando people doing. Prince Maxwell, I have not seen him. I hope he can come back and join us.
What's up, bro?
Emmy, where have you been?
Time. I drove from Fargo to Bismarck today, and so I was late.
Time. Oh, you want to look for Kou?
No, Kou live all the way in Galicia.
But why are you driving to go look for the woman, man? What made you buy?
I can go to Galicia to go like Jesus. I bet Jesus was born. I can go there to look for her.
CEO, you got jokes.
I thought Jesus was born his birthday.
You don't like people with
call me a travelist to call. I will
call you.
Look at me. My wife is Senator Reyes. She's from Lima.
I will call you.
My wife is Reyes. She's from Lima. How
are you from Lima?
We saw that thing to win a war. I will call you, Uncle Gibson. We'll continue this.
But it's up to want to say thank you, folks. Nelson, thank you. And thanks for the program you guys had last night. Are you guys doing the late night tonight?
Oh, yeah. We're having it tonight. Mobile asked spoke today, and so the guy said he's all set. He's all set for tonight.
I heard that Raymond is coming on again, and you guys want to have a wonderful show. Listen, if I have the strength, I will appear. If not, y'all have fun. You'll enjoy the network. And
but CEO, everybody, almost everyone who came on kept asking, "Where's our CEO?"
CEO that one person, man. The CEO got to rest. You know, I have to rest. But again, let me go eat my fast food. I want to say thanks to you a lot. Thanks to you for holding it down. Where is James? James ran away from us, right?
No, James is always around, especially when we need some assistance from him. Maybe we're in a field. Yeah,
James working now. James working for real money. Now you're $200 a week a month. James taking pay every 2 weeks now. You know that, right?
Yeah, I called him the other day. He said, "My man, I'm busy right now. We can't talk."
The man working every 2 weeks. Let's say this about James. There you go.
I know you come in for the man. You come in for all the messy girls.
You got one man to save some money. Every 2 weeks, you know how much the man can make?
No.
After taxes, seriously, because he sent me the pay stub, James make $1,375 every 2 weeks.
Wow, imagine that. Every 2 weeks. CEO,
imagine. So a month, you know how much is that?
Increase from Liberia.
No, a month is $2,750 that I'm making in euro. What James gonna do? What he would do with the money, Emmy? What James gonna do with this money? James, let me look around. James not paying rent. James not paying bills. James making all that plenty of money. Nelson, have you seen you and Baron? Where's Baron?
Yeah, but the chairman is around. The chairman is
Have
around.
you seen you got something? The man making $2,750 every month. Hey, Nelson, you're here hating you that James from Facebook, Lofa County. The man making 2,000. I think that's a minister money there, right? In Liberia.
Oh yeah.
More,
It's
maybe
even
more
more.
than
It's
minister
even
money.
more. Yeah, it's even more. Yeah. So ministers,
$2,750 they both making in Europe. United States dollars or not Liberian dollar, United States dollars. Not LD.
but see, everything you say now, I can just imagine how James call coming increase from Liberia. Plenty of people coming start calling.
But James also help y'all. Seriously, I'm surprised that James not even helping Baron with that fallback position. What about Aaron Kuben? Aaron been looking for money to face his cell phone. James also help Aaron.
The man still trying to settle in.
Settle in where? James is making $2,750. That's what you think James doing with that money. What do you think James doing with all that money?
The man, you remember the last time CEO, the man said when you were discussing about somebody not having horse in the country. James said when he get money, he will build horse in Moravia, then he build horse in Lofa County.
Yeah.
So that when you come to Liberia, you will not rent bathroom. You will not pay money to use it.
But that's a lot of money. James was making $50, $40, right, when he was working as a security guy. $40 a month. Can you imagine how much he's making right now? The car James driving, that car that boy driving in Europe, that car in America, because you know the European car kind of different, right? The brand and thing different. So I told James, I said, James, carry the camera around. Let me see the car. James is sitting. He can cook. He can eat. He's sleeping on the air conditioner. James said he didn't know how to table on with bucket no more. He saw his post. He said, I didn't even know how to bend and table with bucket anymore. I can't.
But see, I'm happy for my man. That's transformation right there, and yeah.
But I'm happy. But can he share? Can he share something? You know, the man making money more than a minister in Liberia, I believe. If the minister want to make their own salary now, not cut shaka.
Almost about half of the lawmakers' money, about half of what Senator Dillon is taking.
Almost, right?
Yeah, almost a half.
So you mean to tell me that James is working in Liberia right now with money and just and go to Boulevard Party and go sleep there again, go to Royal and just buy food.
See, I bet you not make it to it. The man from Lofa County.
Oh, so you said the man me?
No, the man is very careful.
When he come out of Liberia, he ain't sleep though. No one room apartment. He going to the hotel. No, but I'm happy for James though. The only thing I tell James, I'm making, he send me something. They make the CEO, the money in the bank. They put not allowing me to take it. I said, James, you lying. That's your own money. Just go there and just use your card and take care. He said, CEO, we'll talk later. Since I asked him, up to now, he never coming.
The man was saying small thing.
No, the man, no. The man said me small thing. But I'm happy for James though. I'm really happy, and he's, you know, yeah. I just say there's a lady here in America sent James $450. So I asked her, I said, but why you send James the money? Then she said, hey, CEO, don't worry about James myself. Yeah, I got her name. Hold on, let me take it to find her name. I will find her name. Hold on 1 minute. So you better call me. Ain't call me. I'm gonna. Is that beginner call me? I'm gonna point it out. So hold on 1 minute. So she said, don't worry about James myself. I said, hey, go.
Imagine.
Hey, man, what? Wait. I'm looking for a name. Way small. I'm looking for a name. She live in New York. I can't find her name. Yeah, she live in New York. That's a Liberian girl. You know, James said he been knowing her from Liberia. She sent James $450. So I said, well, why are you sending James money? You know, I said, I'm going to tell Jatu.
See,
Do you talk to Jatu?
see, I knew. I
gotta tell Jatu. I know Jatu. I know this guy. Do you talk to Jatu?
Yeah, sure.
So can you tell Jatu say somebody sent James money, a girl in New York?
No, see, that's secret. Nobody knows. Only you.
But you know Jatu. You know Jatu. Why you can't tell Jatu? I will tell Jatu. I will call Jatu and tell Jatu. So it means you're hiding something from Jatu.
No, it's a secret. The man are man CEO. So I can't go tell the man all the man thing that I don't know how Jatu would take it. So
but Jatu, that's your sister. Just tell Jatu, say somebody sent Jane $450. That's a girl. I will send her picture. All right, Bob, man. See you later. Let me go eat. All right, folks, we want to say thank you for joining us. And you can join us again tomorrow, the Spoon Talk. But tonight, don't forget, will be late night, okay? Yeah. It's very important that you join tonight because it's a lot of questions and we have some video we want to share with you. So we say mobile will be on, Raymond, everybody, just come have fun. Make your contribution and Nelson will be in studio. We say thank you very much and have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Okay, thank you very much. See you. Thanks, everyone. Well, folks, that's it. Join us tomorrow for another presentation of the program, Spoon Talk. And as the CEO said, late night politics on Spoon will be coming up at 9 p.m. Eastern Time and 1 a.m. Liberian Time. Until then, have for yourselves a great night. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. A special one from the CEO, Stanton with the spoon. And your boy, Friday the Southern Band. Charges on the beat.